City Council meeting to order. Pastor Brenda, will you please come up and do the prayer for us, please?
Good evening, everyone. It's my first time here, so you guys bear with me, okay? Amen. So let us bow our heads, please, in a word of prayer. Eternal, always God, Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Father, for waking us up this morning, Father, putting us in a right mind, Father, and a right heart, Father. We just thank you, Lord, for who you are to us, Father, and all that you have done for us, oh God. So we thank you, Father, for this day, for this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. We stand before you, Father, in humble adoration, Father, in expectation, Father, asking you, O God, to lead, guide, and direct our activities on this night. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to assemble together peacefully, this city council, Father. We pray your divine blessings over them, O Lord. Father, bless them to have the right spirit, Father, and the right heart, Father, in making decisions, Father, that will affect their communities. And Father, we just pray, Father, for a spirit of unity, oh God, in this place, in the name of Jesus. Father, while we may not always agree, Father, help us to disagree peacefully. Father, we lift up this, your son, your servant, Brother Hunter, Father, a member of the local 150 engineers who was injured on the job, Father. Father, we pray your strength in his family, oh God, on tonight. Father, as they deal with his condition, we pray, Father God, that your hand of mercy would be upon him, Father, that you would see him through this time of trial, through this time of testing, oh God, that you would bring him out with a mighty healing, oh God, and a great deliverance, oh God. So we lift up his family, Father, and his brothers and sisters in the union, Father, before you on tonight. We lift up this community, oh God, and we pray, Father, for unity in the faith, Father, that we all remember that we are your children, oh God, and that we're all equal, oh God, in your sight. Father, we just pray, Father, for these council members. We pray for these citizens that have brought their concerns, oh God, before you. And we pray, Father God, that righteousness will be dealt, Father, unto every man on tonight. In the name of Jesus. And Father, in all that we say and all that we do, Father, we pray that you would give us a mind and a heart to always give your name all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise, for it's yours and yours alone. In Jesus' name, let every heart say, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Brian, would you start us off, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nina, would you please do the roll call? Councilperson Alvarez?
Here.
Councilperson Jaworski? Here. Councilperson Geis-Hurst? Here. Councilperson Clem?
Here.
Councilperson Williams?
Here.
Councilperson Gully?
Here.
Councilperson Lilly?
Here.
We have the approval of the minutes.
We only have 1 minute in Dropbox. That was for December 21st. I'm going to make a motion that we table that till next meeting.
We have a motion to table. Is there a second? Gina seconded that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have communications, correspondence, and announcements from the mayor. I have none other than that during AJ's report, he's going to let you know some of the road projects. So don't leave, because we need you to hear all these projects that are going to kick off shortly. And we have a proclamation that Deb is going to read.
City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana, proclamation. To all whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas in federal fiscal year 2020, 3.9 million reports were made to Child Protective Services. And whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of the City of Portage. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create strong and thriving children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. Therefore, I, Sue Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Portage, and urge all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the City of Portage in the state of Indiana this 5th day of April 2022. And can I just say that as a member of the Exchange Club, as you go down Willow Creek, you will notice a very large display of blue pinwheels. For the Exchange Club, that is a huge project for us, and we want to bring that awareness. So that is why we put those pinwheels up, because we want our children to feel happy and to feel safe, and that's what those pinwheels represent. So as you go by, take a look.
Very good.
Thank you, Deb. Dan, when did you want to do the other? Okay. Okay, Nina, we have the clerk treasurer's report.
I just would let you know I filed the 1095Cs the other day. They were due on the 31st. I don't really have anything other than that.
Does the council have anything to ask Nina? Anything? Okay.
Mayor, if I may, have we started the process of putting out the applications for the deputy yet?
I have been talking with, it's internal.
Okay.
I'm not going to hire until we're back in our space. It doesn't make sense right now.
And speaking of back in our space, it looks like the week of the 25th of April will be our moving back into City Hall, we hope, right? Okay, there is no, let's do reports from standing committees. Randy, let's start with the street department. He's always last, so we're going to make him first.
Real fast here, I sent you a report, emailed everyone earlier today. Leaf pickup continues to go throughout the city on a service call-in schedule by the residents. So if residents still have leaves out there that need to be picked up, please contact the street department. You can email us or contact us by phone number, and we'll get you on that list. And then the department is also prepping for the preseason spring projects and finalizing mow crews for this summer, so we're in the process of that. Starting April 30th, Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the hours are going to be extended to the public to come in for special dropping off e-waste or grass clippings or limbs or anything else like that. We do have compost. We're out of complete mulch, but we have plenty of compost, and our US 12 compost site is open, and if residents want some of that compost, you could go up there, contact our office, or look on our Facebook page. We do have the address listed, and there is also a Google map link, so if you don't know exactly where that's at, you can click on that and it'll load up in your smartphone and take you directly there. So we do have a brand new sign out there. It's 6 feet by 12 feet long, so the county helped with that cost. So go up there, see what it's all about. So go up there. If you've never visited our compost site, I highly recommend that you go up there. There's also some other services that there. You could take light bulbs there, plastic bags there. So there's more services there that are offered to recycling and to our residents. So if you ever want to see what the windrows look like, go up there, tour that site. That's where you could take your limbs there, but we do not accept grass clippings at that site. So you still have to take your grass clippings to the street department. Road patching, we're still operating on our main roads like Portage Avenue, Samuelson, Old Porter Road. So we're still patching roads with our cold patch. The hot patch is supposed to be given out here probably about mid-April. That's a lot better surface instead of the cold patch. Cold patch is like a Band-Aid, so we want to use hot patch on that. So if anyone has any major concerns on any other roads that we need to hit, we are doing those. So send us a list. The plowing report, we only had one winter event in March, and it required us to work a few shifts, but that was March 10th and 11th. was due to some lake effect snow. For sanitation, the CNG grant is still in the process, so we're finalizing some things. I just met with Drive Clean Indiana. They just changed their name from so I met with Ryan Listick. We've got a punch list of what's going on. We got some other grant opportunities that are coming up. I'll give the council better information on that in coming months here. So there's more money available for the CNG program made available to the cities. So other than that, our recycling is still in suspension. So we are going to be heavily auditing our recycling routes, and those that are not following policy, those cans will be confiscated. Last year we confiscated a little over 600. This year we plan on vamping that up and getting more of those contaminated green lids out of the system so we could get back in compliance with our policies. So any questions, comments, anything? All right.
I just want to say that the compost site is a great partnership with the county. The county helps fund that. We built, I'm the head of the county waste board, and we built a shed out there, and we pay for the people that work out there. The county does, the county district. So it's a great partnership. We're able to do a great job out there because they have the equipment to do the windrowing of the compost and everything that we don't have. So it works out well for all of us.
So if any residents out there that want a large amount of compost, we can schedule someone up there, like an end loader, an operator, and we can load up those vehicles, those trailers that they bring. So, okay.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Chief Wilkening.
Bilateral Randy's. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I emailed you my report earlier, so just to go over some of the highlights. March, we were a little bit busier than we were in February. We had a total of 451 calls. We were right at about the same spot last year with calls, so we're running about neck and neck there. 339 of them were EMS, and we had 3 structure fires. We did have mutual aid come into the city 25 times last month. 3 of those were for fire responses. So that brings our total mutual aid calls up to 85 for the year. So total calls for the year are 1,479. 1,095 of them were EMS, 11 fire. So we're up still 146 calls from last year. We did have quite a few personnel moves over the past month. We still have 3 firefighters in the academy. They'll finish up in 4 weeks. They're doing a good job. Chris Crail is the academy commander, and he's doing well with that. We did have 2 probationary firefighters resign that we had hired for different reasons. We are still taking applications. We're taking applications till April 8th, and then hopefully in a couple weeks we'll have our list made up and we can start hiring. Because right now we are at 6 firefighters short. We did have 2 retirements. We did have Lieutenant Jim Talmadge retired with over 25 years of experience, and we also had Master Firefighter Dave Duttlinger retired with over 20 years of experience. They were both excellent firefighters, and their experience and professionalism is really going to be missed. We also have 7 people on major medical right now. I'm hoping that a couple of them come off soon. So we're pretty short right now. So we're working quite a bit short-staffed. As far as our vehicle status goes, we did have some major repairs over the month. Engine 2 and Engine 3 had some major engine repairs. We were lucky though that it was spaced out enough to where our spare apparatus were able to cover it, and we did get everything fixed. We did have our engine committee meet, and working on specs and everything, so whenever we get a go-ahead for a new engine, we'll be ready to go, and we'll be able to send that out. We do still have that outstanding assistant to firefighter grant. We have not heard anything yet. I don't know when they're meeting and when they're getting everything together, so it's usually a surprise to us. So hopefully soon. And then the last thing I have is this is the good part of my job, is we do have a community life-saving award. We like to recognize the people who have helped us out and did a fantastic job. So before I get to that, I did make some changes in my administration. I did promote Jeremy Hyman, Teresa Yanovitz, and Chris Crail to battalion chief. They are now part of the administration, and I'm confident that they're going to do a great job, and I look forward to working with both of them, or three of them. So back to the life-saving award. Battalion Chief Teresa Yanovitz is going to be presenting the award. She was on the call, so we felt it was best that she was on scene, that she would be able to give the award. So.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening.
On Monday, January 17th, Ladder 1 and Rescue 1 were dispatched to Shoops for reports of a female choking. When units arrived on scene, they found an elderly female who was in tears with fits of coughing. The elderly female had choked on an onion ring. It had completely blocked her airway, making it impossible for her to breathe. In these situations, seconds count. On that particular evening, the patron who was choking was fortunate enough to have a guardian angel by the name of Kat Wilson working as a waitress at Shoops. Kat sprung into action and performed the Heimlich maneuver before the fire department was even dispatched. With that, the onion ring became dislodged and the patron was once again able to breathe. Without the quick and heroic actions of Kat Wilson, the outcome could have been drastically worse. Although there are many in the public who are trained to do in these situations, very few are willing to step up and take actions. So this evening, on behalf of the Portage Fire Department, it is an honor and a privilege that I present Kat Wilson with the Community Life-Saving Award. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. The world needs more people like you in it. Please come. There's a lot I want to say, but just know that every day is not promised. If you see something, do something. If you see something, say something. And just cherish the ones you love next to you every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you. So, unless there's any other questions, that's all I have for this month. I'm unlike Candiano, take up all the time. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Randy. Chief Candiano, you are up next after that brief introduction.
Glad he's got my back. I actually do not have very much because I assume that there's a lot to talk about tonight, so I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. So I will be very brief. So our incidents for March of this year, we were at 2,961. Puts us at an average of 96 per day. About 84 calls more than last year, and about 3 per day more than last year. So not as many as the difference was from this February to last February. We were a lot busier comparative to last year, but still higher this month. So our hiring and staffing issues are looking pretty good. We currently have 3 officers scheduled to graduate from the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy on April 29th. We have two others one of those officers has already been released to work patrol, so he went to the academy after being released. So when he comes back, he'll go right back into the patrol division and be ready to go. The other two will continue their field training, and hopefully they'll be released right around summertime when we start getting really busy. So we're looking pretty good. We also have one that's waiting perf approval. So there's a job offer out there, so we're just waiting for that process to get through, and then we will be fully staffed. And then we do have two officers that are still out with some on long-term workman's comp, hoping that they can get back here at some point soon. So some community engagement we did last month. We partnered with the Porter County Substance Abuse Council and participated in Coffee with a Cop at the YMCA. It was pretty neat. We were able to engage with all different members of the community, different ages, different groups, so it was nice to be there. We hung out for a couple hours and just chatted with people in a much more relaxed environment than we usually have encounters with people, so it was nice. So thank you to the Y for having that space for us. We were awarded $12,000 from the Substance Abuse Council to be used toward the purchase and training of a new canine. So once we get going on that, I'll give you some more information. So that just got awarded to us recently. But I would like to thank Corporal Krieg, one of our canine handlers, and Sergeant Maynard, who's our public information officer. So Corporal Krieg worked on the grant, and then Sergeant Maynard has put in a ton of time with Substance Abuse Council, which I think is part of the reason that we got some of that money. So I want to thank both of them. I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time, but we also did receive a canine from the Hammond Police Department. They had a canine handler that was relocating and able to take the dog with them. And so due to some of the relationships that our canine handlers have in the area, we got a phone call and we were told, they were looking to replace this or rehome this dog. And after having some conversations, it seemed like a good fit, so we were able to take on that dog at no charge to us. So obviously there'll be some training and stuff that needs to go on with the handler, but kind of a great deal for us. So two exciting things going on with the canine program. Training, we're at about 265 hours for the year. It's about 3.8 hours per officer. And the majority of this has come from in-house stuff, the range, academy classes. So I would re-emphasize that one of the reasons we're asking for a little boost in money there in the training fund so that we can get these numbers up. So, and then very last, told you I'd be short, for some recognition. Last month we had a pursuit that came through the east side of town during which the driver was eventually taken into custody. Without giving you too many of our operational secrets, we had a detective that did some stuff above and beyond and was able to determine that he thought possibly the driver had thrown a gun out during the pursuit. As it was going, the cars that were behind him did not see it happen, so he had to do some detective work to figure that out. So that's Detective Corporal Tony Danduran. So he kind of gets this information, gives the officers a location to start searching, and we found a gun that they had tossed out that was sitting on the side of the road. So I just want to give them some kudos to, again, Detective Danduran for having the wherewithal to kind of take the extra step and see what he could find, and then the officers that went out and found it, because obviously a gun on the side of the road in a highly trafficked area could have been a horrible thing. So just want to say I appreciate them for their work, and that's all I got. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Barb, do you have a report for the marina?
Yes, I do. Here, it's kind of short. I'll make it quick.
Those are all my friends right there. Okay, regarding the marina facility, we've started spring repairs. So that means we'll finish replacing the dock boxes. We had about 15 dock boxes last year that needed to be replaced. We've got 7 to go, plus the one that we donated to the fire department. The water will be turned on by April 15th, and most of the aerators that are in the water will be pulled out, cleaned, and stored for winter. We will continually replace dock boards and rub rails. The new launch ramp is being used quite a bit. We've had quite a few people fishing, and we've gotten a lot of positive comments about it. It's really a nice addition, and it's a nice upgrade for the marina. Let's see, once the water's turned on, the public restrooms will be open, so that will be April 15th officially. And then we anticipate another full year at the marina, full occupancy with a few slips available for transients. And we are currently taking applications for summertime help. Last year I had no applicants. This year I'm hoping that that some people do apply. If you know of any teenagers that are looking for work, you know, I ask that of the council and also of the residents, anybody that's looking for work. It's a nice little summer job. It's a nice little start type job for young people. And I hope that we have some applicants this year. And that's really all that I have to say. Any questions, anybody?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Barb.
Thank you.
AJ?
Madam Mayor, councilors, how are you? Yes, I did offer a department report, so hopefully we had an opportunity to review that, but I believe Mayor asked me to come up to talk about a few road projects. The first, and one that is going to be most impactful straight away, is the reconstruction of the Willow Creek Road, Chrisman Road bypass. From Old Porter Road south to the Indiana Toll Road Bridge. Maintenance of traffic signage began being placed today. Work will begin next week. It'll be a 3-phase project and with substantial completion in mid-August of 2022. It will be a trying time, but as you know, the road is in deplorable conditions. Last year, the county got ahead of us with the resurfacing of the bridge decks, which was a necessary first step in moving forward with the pavement reconstruction. So I ask for patience. Be patient. Be mindful of the construction workers in the zone. Slow down, please, so that those men and women can make it home safely every night to their families. The Central Avenue West project is just started. If you made your way down Central Avenue between Swanson and Willowdale, you will see some serious change with Homer's tree clearing work. They have a little bit of work left to do. Soon, utilities will receive notice to proceed to begin relocating utilities. The new bridge over Willow Creek will start construction third quarter of 2022, and construction will extend into 2022 with the reconstruction of the road from approximately Brant in Central, so by Dairy Dip, all the way to the east near the intersection of Peach and Central. Included in that project will be the realignment and then reconstruction of the intersections of Central Avenue and Willowdale, and the realignment and reconstruction of the intersection of Central Avenue and Swanson Road. The project, as you know, has been something the community's been working on for over a decade. So we're excited about that project starting. It's the first couple phases of what is going to be a multi-phase project for the city to ultimately reconstruct Central Avenue from Willow Creek Road all the way west to County Line Road.
AJ, quickly on Central, will the roadway be shut down at all in the near future or just later on towards the end of the project?
The roadway will not be shut down in the near future. The first phase of the project is the bridge, the approaches, and then it'll go into a sequence of construction where it's the reconstruction, the demolition of the bridge, and working with the future contractor. All of that construction coordination will be worked out. There will be a lot more information available when the bids are let and when we start to better understand how the contractor intends to approach construction. Earlier today, I met with representatives of Indiana American Water to talk about their 2022 projects here in the city. They have a list of streets that will be impacted by new water mains. Those streets include Vivian from Central to Mulberry, Mulberry Avenue from Vivian to Teresa, Charlotte Street, Carmen Street, Tecumseh, Defiance, and Prophet. Some of those cuts will then need to be made and extend across Central Avenue at the north end of Vivian. And I believe that there's also a crossing at both Charlotte and Carmen. And then the work will include a crossing at Hamstrom. They are currently out to bid with Indiana American Water currently has those projects out to bid. They were unable to give us an indication as to when that work is going to start. As soon as I know more, you'll know more as to how that work is going to commence.
AJ,
yes.
Sorry. Is part of their project also to correct the issue on Willow Creek?
Well, it's a separate matter. We were with Ed Nichols today to talk about those projects, but those matters did also come up. They are aware that a fix needs to be made. They did not give us any sort of indication as to when that work would begin. We were as clear as we could be that those repairs along all of Willow Creek Road, as you know, there are several water main breaks that have occurred this year, or the last couple of years, or over the winter, that need to be fixed. And we will continue to stay on them to make sure that those repairs are being made. I think as you've been out to Willow Creek Road lately, the major significant water main break that was just south of Shoops in that area there, you can see the rippling effect as you make your way across the road. So that repair is a lot more significant than just the asphalt that was, or what was excavated during the repair work. Some of the restoration work is taking place in front of Shoops. But again, that work is not done, and we just reminded them as we talked about all of those sort of improvements that we need to make sure that these improvements are to a standard that we're going to accept. As you know, this community spent a serious amount of money in the repaving of Willow Creek Road.
Mm-hmm. So just to toggle on to AJ, I have a meeting with American Water next week. But I've been very much in touch with him and have provided them with a list of all the water main breaks throughout the city that we have experienced, because I expect them to get in there and clean that up. I've been on them for about 3 weeks about Shoops to try to get that more respectable, at least in front of their business. Right. So I think between AJ and myself, we're very much in touch with them.
A couple other things then is that we, as you know, a couple months ago the department did submit a grant application through a Community Crossings Matching Grant. That's our paving program for 2022. We believe, we've been told that we would hear word this month. Again, so as soon as we hear word, we'll pass that word on to all of you. I don't have a map or list of streets with me this evening. However, the map is available on the city's website. And I believe that probably in a previous department report, I've provided that comprehensive list of which streets are included or were included in the 2022 application. So as soon as we hear word, of course, we'll make sure that information is relayed. And it's fine and well to talk about new pavement. It's also important to talk about preventative maintenance. We were able to, using some of our motor vehicle highway restricted funds, we were able to go out and solicit bids or quotes for crack sealing. The numbers came in well under what we expected. And so, there possibly could be a discussion that we could expand our 2022 crack sealing list to include more streets. Again, that's the first part of preventative maintenance, right? We build a new road, asphalt cracks, and as soon as we can get to that crack, seal that thing up, that will add to the longevity of that street, that investment we just made. It takes a long time for a pothole to present itself. So the more that we are able to find and commit our community dollars to that preventative maintenance of infrastructure, the better off we will be as time goes on. So again, the numbers were better than expected, and we'll be working closely with Mayor Lynch and the Board of Works to make a second solicitation in hopes that we can expand the crack sealing program for 2022.
Do you also want to mention that we're demoing the Gilbert gas station?
We are. The Gilbert gas station, and that is at 5439 Central Avenue. That was purchased a number of years ago by the Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Commission did award the contract to GE Marshall and awarded an environmental cleanup contract to OSI Environmental. Work is proposed to start next week with completion on April 22nd. So it looks like it's a 2-week demo job out there on that site.
Question on that.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Will the tanks be removed and the ground be inspected for contaminated soils?
Yes, sir. The commission, with the staff's recommendation, entered into a contract with Americo. That was, it's one thing to demo a house, and manage that contract. It's another thing to deal with underground storage tanks.
Absolutely.
So we, the commission hired Americo to prepare plans and specifications. They helped the commission through the bidding process. They will continue to sit on as inspectors on the demo and remediation project, and then assist the city of Portage in issuing the necessary paperwork that needs to go to state and any other agencies that would, be part of that closure.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, AJ.
AJ, quick question on paving. Are we working with Indiana American Water to make sure that we don't pave a street that they're going to come through and tear up?
We're working.
Well, I know we can't guarantee it, but have we given them our list to say?
Planned work is one thing, and that's what we can share.
Yeah.
What we can't and don't know is when that pipe that's been under the ground for 57 years is going to decide today's the day.
Right.
But that was really, a significant portion of the purpose of today's meeting was them to present their plans, us to offer them our list for this year. We try to then talk about out years, whether it's our paving program in the years to come or what their work might be. And that's more of a crapshoot. Mm-hmm. But at least, yeah, absolutely. This year we try to do that. We try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
Thanks, AJ.
So, as you all know, our park superintendent has taken a job elsewhere and has left us as of April the 2nd. So today I sent a letter to the park board appointing Paul Stasowski, who is the current president of the park board, as interim superintendent. But as you know, they have to approve that. But Paul has been working with me for like the last week and a half. So he wanted to present some figures and a report by the park. Do you want to bring that up now, Paul?
Sure. Once again, I'm Paul Saselski. I'm a president of the park board, and I'm here to kind of discuss the financial situation we currently find ourselves in due to the budget appropriations as we see them. I've just passed out kind of a overall view, short and sweet. This won't take too long, but kind of tell you where we are. Excuse me. Portage Parks is 15 parks of 612 acres, including our trail space. There are 15 parks maintained by 5 full-time maintenance employees. 10 of the properties are considered neighborhood parks and do not generate revenue for our system. The park department relies largely on its general budget to maintain these properties. And below there you'll see the different parks and their locations. Over the past decade, our budget has gotten smaller, but our park system has grown larger. We've added Deer Trail Park, Founder Square, completed the Brookview Park, added at Countryside 2 elevators, splash pad, Hannah's Hope Playground, and the open air pavilion, all while our number of park maintenance staff has decreased by 50%. On the second page, you'll see the capital acquisition since 1995. Our Parks Department budget in 1995 was just over $1 million. For 2020 and for 2022, I think we asked for about $1.1 million. It was right in that neighborhood. But in December 22, our budget was adjusted to only $609,000. This amount is smaller than our 1995 operating budget, which was $624,000. If we adjust our 1995 budget for inflation, that amount would be about $1.1 million. So our request is of $1 million was not unreasonable. Since 1995, we acquired millions of dollars in capital assets, but we have received no funding to maintain them. And you can see the list from 1995 forward that we've acquired. And essentially, we have no extra money to maintain these facilities. We've absorbed some severe budget cuts in the past, by supplementing our general budget with our non-reverting funds, we've managed to avert any kind of catastrophe. In 2018, our budget was cut 30%, and we were able to absorb this hit by using over $100,000 from our non-reverting budget to pay for general budget expenses. And you see those trash removal to, report design, everything there. So we're working as best we can with what we have to work with. Sorry, these seem to be stuck together. There we go. And the other thing that's hit us very hard is the pandemic. It's hit everyone very hard. But our revenues have decreased significantly, as you can see, from 2019 up to 2021. And you see that the numbers, $335,000 to $217,000. But for the revenue numbers, they don't look that bad. But if you look in 2020, we had to refund $62,700 in fees because of canceled events. So in 2021, we hosted more than 400 private rentals, 14 softball tournaments, 4 different summer camps, a successful daddy-daughter dance, completed 2 soccer seasons with over 680 participants, held 2 craft shows, a haunted hayride, the Harvest Festival. I mean, I can go on and on the things that we've done. The Parks has hosted more than 350 city meetings over the past 4 years, free of charge. So, I mean, we want to reciprocate that. Even though the room is available, we're still required to clean, set up, and staff each meeting, sometimes multiple times per day. If we were to charge for these rentals, the total would be about $225,000. So, our non-reverting budget simply does not have the funds to budget cuts of this magnitude. Also, when using non-reverting funds for general fund expenses, we're taking away our ability to provide better programs for our participants. The spirit of non-reverting funds are to pay for and improve the programs which they are collected. Our non-reverting also allows us to offer free programs to the public, such as free Friday movies at Founder Square, music in the park, and cruise night. Depleting these funds to cover general funds expenses will only hurt our programs in the long run. We're here tonight to ask you for additional funding in our general fund to allow us to continue to operate in 2022. Based on rough estimates at this time, it appears that we will no longer be able to make payroll past July of this year. Without these funds, even if we deplete our non-reverting fund to supplement all of our general budget needs, it is unlikely we will make it through the end of 2022. Obviously, this is an untenable situation. Therefore, we're requesting a return of the $400,000 that was cut from our initial budget. And we know that you didn't do it, but we need your help to get it. Park Department appreciates other departments for the additional fundings or various projects. However, we do not believe that any of other departments are facing budget crisis like we are at the park. Parks Department. We appreciate your consideration of our request and fervently hope that you will see your way clear to restore the parks funding to a level that will allow us to operate through the balance of 2022. Thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I might not have the answers, but I can certainly try.
And I think Paul can tell you that it's, we put the job application out today with several of the parks. We've opened it up to a 30-mile radius. We don't want to be hiring somebody that's 50 miles away or 60 miles away, and we have to count on them coming here. But we don't want to have to tell them that you're hired, but you can only work till the end of July, because we can't pay anybody. So that's just totally unacceptable as we've been going through these numbers, and it's quite shocking. So, you know, we lost a good person because of that, and we need to get this straightened out.
My voice is terrible, I'm sorry, but I just want to say thank you for doing this on such a short notice.
It's my pleasure. I mean, that's part of being park board president and now possibly interim superintendent.
And just a little example, this morning we hosted 20 park superintendents here this morning. Paul and I hosted them. This was a meeting that was set up, and we said, we'll do it. So we had 20 park superintendents from all around Northwest Indiana who came here. The room was all set up. The parks provided us with coffee. They set the whole thing up. The minute we left, they were tearing it down to set it up for this council meeting. So over the years that this park department has had to set up and tear down for us is unbelievable when you start looking at the actual numbers. For instance, we have a meeting on the 27th here. They had the opportunity to have 2 different rentals here and had to turn them down, which is revenue to the park because we're here.
I mean, we understand our obligation to the city, and we're not, bemoaning that, but I mean, it is loss of revenue to us, and the numbers we're putting out, these aren't, pie in the sky numbers. They've been fairly well researched, and we're down to getting down to bare maintenance, bare bones, and hoping to make it through the end of the year. So your help would be greatly appreciated. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what I signed myself on for, but I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate that.
You can't have a park superintendent that's trying to run the park and be the superintendent and has to be the head of maintenance and the sports director as well. And that's what's been happening here. There has been no money allocated for those positions, and we have no assistant park superintendent, which does not speak well for us. Thank you, Paul.
And just to be clear, this board approved a budget that didn't cut parks. So the budget that was sent down state, in fact, increased a little bit to the parks budget. Although that budget was bare bones, but it was a budget that was sustainable. It was the 1782 from the state that cut this department back down to 609,000.
And Paul, you might be able to correct me, but the parks budget 2019 to 2020, 2020 to 2021 did increase, right?
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Because we were cut, I think.
It looks like it was cut pretty significantly in 2018 and a little bit in 2019, but then steadily increasing the last 2 years.
So the 2022 budget request might have been a bit ambitious. You'll understand.
Right.
That we have to take a cut on some of the numbers, but we think our overall costs are hovering right around $1 million.
So the open air pavilion that was put up north was about a $2 million project that really is never used. And with the building of that, there was a promise of specialized equipment to clean that building because you need almost like a mini Zamboni to clean that floor. So they promised it, but it was never given to the parks. So when they have to clean that facility, if there ever is anything, it's a major ordeal because of the type of flooring that's up there. And these are the kind of things that, so redevelopment can build something like that, but it's against the law for them to maintain it. So then it falls to the park, which adds another park to the park system. So over the years, the number of parks has grown exponentially, but the money hasn't grown and the staff hasn't grown. So
Just as an example, I could real quick, Nassau, it's a wonderful park, it was a private, and it ended up coming over to the parks responsibility. And I know the Park Foundation stepped in very largely to make that a reality. $75,000 donation to finish up the funding that they needed. And we thought that was a very good project. Once again, like the mayor said, it's the park's responsibility to maintain that, and none of that equipment is cheap.
No.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So we've received this information. We are in dire straits. We understand that. Do we have a plan to get us out of this? I mean, and if we do not have a plan, who's in charge of developing? Is that a park board designation, or is that something with the administration?
So I can probably field some of that question. I would suspect that the park board does have some, some input on this, because they're the ones that manage the programs, they're the ones that sort of allocate different resources to different areas within the park system. Albeit, when the state cuts something so substantially, like the Parks Department isn't necessarily an unusual place to see the state take a big cut, because it's sort of a low-hanging fruit for them. But this kind of a cut, I would suspect, anticipates that the city council will take some action to allocate and appropriate funds to fill in the gap. I will say that interim director was correct in that their non-reverting fund, although non-reverting operating did have a carryover fund, a carryover balance, it's not near enough to substantiate their operating costs, even if they used every penny of it. So he's correct there. So the state's cut from the proposed budget was 400 and some thousand. From the last year's budget was more like $383,000 cut, give or take. So it was a substantial cut that the state made, anticipating. So the answer to your question, Ferdinand, is you guys.
Right, sounds good.
Thank you.
I have a question for Paul. Paul, on my way in, I seen a big old tree out back here that's laying on the ground. Is there a plan on getting that cleaned up before someone gets hurt?
Absolutely. As soon as I get approved by the park board as the superintendent, that's right around there in the top 5 things I can do.
And when's this planned on? Why is it we gotta wait for the park board? When's the meeting?
Because the law says that any appointment I make has to be approved by the park board.
So the statute that governs park directors for a city of our size indicates that a park director, since there is a park board, the mayor makes the recommendation to the park board for a park director, and then the park board either says yes or no to that recommendation, so it requires both. So they had just had their meeting, so I anticipate there'll be a special park board meeting to field the request to fill that spot.
I'm talking about the tree that's laying out in the backyard.
Well, we'll get it out. We'll get it on. I promise.
Just last director.
Probably the city council meeting, as long as I approve this.
Yeah, because we have kids that could be out there playing on that, and that thing rolls over on someone that's gonna crush them.
There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of big safety hazard there to the public.
Right. There's a lot of things, branches laying around that need to be picked up if somebody can poke with, I understand, appreciate it. We're gonna be doing an audit of all the parks, within a week. And we're gonna take a look at all the, make a list of all the needs that we need to do. We're gonna prioritize it and knock out those ones. That one was way high. But like I said, we're gonna have a special, park board meeting, because I just received a letter from Mayor Sue requesting picking me as the interim superintendent this morning.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get our board, send it out this evening and set up a Zoom meeting. So get it set up to do. And then I'll have the authority to proceed and tell people to do this.
And Pat, just to let you know, Lori's last day was Saturday, so we have been on this. So we met for 5 hours yesterday.
Just a question.
What about the street department? Do we have a street department that can clean that up? I'm just talking about the public safety. I'm not worried about.
Well, those trees have been down for a while, Pat.
I'm sorry?
Those trees have been down for a while.
Wow,
Right.
that's.
I mean, so you gotta give us a little bit of break here. We're trying to get on it.
So Paul is still the park board chair, right?
Yes.
Dan, in the absence of a superintendent, we could, if we had the ability to go out and do it, I assume, can our crews even manage the trees out there, or do we need to go out and get a service?
No, I think that we have chainsaws, we have these people.
So I mean, as park board president, in the absence of the superintendent, he could probably direct staff.
We have to go through the process,
Right.
Colin.
When's your special, I'm sorry, Mayor, my apologies. When's your special meeting, you know yet?
I'm gonna send an email out as soon as I get out of this meeting.
48 hours, done.
Yeah, I would say 48 hours, that should be done.
That's the better way to do it.
Yeah, we do
Thank
have
you.
the ability to leave that,
Yeah.
sort of, either all the way or at least made, put in the sand.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay, did I miss any department heads? I missed any? Tracy, did you have something you wanted to report on the sanitary plant?
Hello. So last rainfall, the major rainfall that we just had last week, it brought in 7.7 million gallons to the plant. We're still discharging at around 5.5 right now, every day, million gallons. We filed our SRF funding for the clarifiers, so we still keep our fingers crossed every day when it rains that we don't have another failure or an issue that causes us to have to bypass. Our staff does a great job in everything that they do to prevent that. But with spring coming, major rainfalls are a possibility. Besides that, no violations, nothing like that with the plant. Any questions?
Thank you for the tour this morning.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's a great place to tour. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, we're going to move on to new business. We have an abatement reporting with Conradi on their CF1s.
So I'll make a
Excuse me,
motion
Madam
to.
Mayor, are we doing standing committee reports?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have it on here, so yes, sorry.
It's on there.
I would like to report on the ordinance committee. The ordinance committee met today at a standing time at 5 o'clock. We had a pretty full agenda. To give you an update on our meeting, looks like we're going to have finally our first reading at our special council meeting on April 27th of the mobile food vendor ordinance. Spent a lot of time on this topic. Attorney Stacy Whitten has helped us with that, so we're at the point to present that first reading. We had a great update and some suggestions on the sidewalk repair program. That we're at the point that we want to get that into ordinance form so we can review it and present it. The deforestation and earth disturbance topics are still ongoing in how we're going to handle those two topics. Tonight, the ordinance committee is going to present two first readings on the ambulance service fee schedule and the fire department equipment fund. So those will be presented this evening. We also need an ordinance on for the community development recommendations and their salaries and some of the changes that they're recommending that will be RDC's responsibilities, but it does require a salary ordinance, so we ask that that ordinance be developed. And then finally, we had a presentation by Superintendent Reeder on the current situation in our sanitation department and a discussion about trash fees. So that concludes our report.
Thank you, Scott. Does anybody have any questions?
Scott, on the salary ordinance, there was also a change for the fire department as well.
Right. Yeah, so there's multiple salary recommendations. Thank you.
Deb, did you have a budget report?
Thank you, Mayor, for that.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I
opportunity.
skipped over you.
That's okay.
It skipped over.
Moving on, under new business, we have abatement reporting for Conrady. Is Leah here? Hi, Leah. I didn't know you with your mask on.
So if I may, Madam Mayor, there's CF1 for personal, you can come up there. There's for real property and personal property. This is the Conrady Plastics opportunity to have you determine whether they're in compliance or not. If you find that they're in compliance, you would make that vote this evening. If you found that they were not in compliance, well, that's a whole other matter. So that's what's in front of you. So this is your opportunity if you have questions of the representative from Conrady Plastics about the report. You can ask her, and if not, if you're comfortable with the report on its face, then I would recommend a motion to approve the CF1 for personal property and the CF1 for real property and determine that it is in compliance.
With that said, Attorney Whitten, I will make a motion to approve both the CF1s for real property and personal property for Conrady Plastics. They've been a great addition to our community for a number of years. We appreciate getting these documents on time, and as the attorney stated, they are in order, so my motion is to approve.
I will second.
We have motion and second. Is there any discussion?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your support, and you guys are a pleasure to work with. So thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Thanks, Leah.
Just to let you know, Leah is the Conrady person. She is the CEO. She is.
I think we have the Gelnex one, right?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to accept the Gelnex personal property CF1 that's in Dropbox.
Second.
We have motion and second. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. So this was received into the township? Did they give it? Do you know why they took so long to give it to
I have no idea.
So we probably need to, just for maybe continuity in the future, we should probably reach out to the township because we have 45 days to have this meeting.
Right.
They didn't give it to us till
Today? No, today.
Which is after the 45. So what you're doing now is really sort of exercising futility because it's too late.
It's too late to do anything if we wanted to. Yeah.
But if you find them in compliance, my suggestion is to go ahead and make that vote. And
Is there a way to pull together a list of all of the abatements?
It's on our annual finance report.
Okay, yeah, and send, with contacts, to send a letter saying, you need to send these to us.
Yeah, we only have the original paperwork, or they do.
Right.
Colin, all the years I was on the council, we got those every year. We got every CF1.
Right.
And the entire council
Right,
had
no,
to
I'm
go
talking
through
about
them.
to prevent them from sending
Yeah.
it to the township.
But I'm
because then the
saying we
township doesn't
always
send it.
got them, so why don't we get them now?
I don't think we don't have as many out
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
There's
they've all
only-
started
last
to
year we
expire.
got them.
Yeah.
see, and part of the problem, as Nina can attest to, that long and windy road that we've gone through, we have issues with folks not filing their personal property return at the assessor's office or their real property return at the county. We don't know that. We don't see that. Then when they finally do it, they send it out there because that's where they're told by somebody, hey, you gotta file your amended return here, so it's tough to track it down.
Right.
The fault, or the issue really is that the world doesn't turn into a pumpkin if you don't get them. If you take no action, then it's deemed in compliance.
Right.
Right, so it's only a problem though if somebody's not in compliance and never comes to the table, right? But normally they're in compliance because they don't want to lose their abatement. That is a huge hit. Usually the big problem is, as we've seen, is getting them to do the paperwork timely. But when they do the paperwork timely, they're almost always in compliance. So, just a thought.
Attorney Whitten?
Yes.
Am I wrong in saying that there is both a CF1 for personal property and one for real property?
I think so.
There's two for each of them.
Is that,
I believe that's correct.
thank you.
They seemed okay on their face to me. I looked at them, but
I think the Gelnex one, they're both here. Scott, there's, it's down further.
You just gotta scroll.
Yeah.
He's got the hard copy.
I've got the hard copy.
Yeah.
So my recommendation tonight with the board, if the board was in agreement, would be to approve these, find them in compliance, And then I'll send them a follow-up letter that says, hey, look, in the future, you need to send this to the Office of the Treasurer. And that way we've got it. Because typically what I do anyway, if we have a new tax abatement that we haven't done in a while, but what I would do with other municipalities is we have a tax abatement that we approve. As the attorney for the municipality, I send out a courtesy letter that says, hey, congratulations, here's your signed paperwork. This is your deadline to file your CF1s, your initial SB1, send it here. And that way we're done. So that's how we do in the future, but I can send these guys a courtesy letter to kind of follow up with them in the future, send it to you.
And I mean, we haven't done many of these in the last 5 years to begin with. We haven't done maybe 1 or 2 abatements.
Most of it was Marina Shores.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, let's see, there was what, maybe 5 last year, Nina? Let's see.
I think a lot of them are Marina Shores.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So that's my
And
thoughts.
then the non-compliance waivers.
Right, that was the
Right.
big issue.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, I can't go. Okay, we have Resolution 22-03, Annexation Fiscal Plan Resolution.
So, Madam Mayor, if I could just sort of step up again. So under the statute, what we're doing tonight is a statutory public hearing on the petition for annexation. What I would recommend is we're not going to take any action on any of this tonight. We're going to conduct our public hearing, close the public hearing, and then perhaps at your special meeting, or and if not, then at your next regular meeting, you can take action on both the ordinance and the fiscal plan. So what I would suggest is open the public hearing, Madam Mayor, allow the petitioner to come forward and kind of explain in easy, clear terms what the plan is. Let the public speak, the council ask questions, and then close the meeting. But I would suggest starting with the petitioner so the public knows what they would be asking questions about. So if you could, my recommendation is to open the public hearing now.
Okay. I'd like to open the public hearing. Please come forward and explain your plan.
Good
Good
evening.
evening. My name's Attorney Joe Svetnoff. I'm with the law firm of Kopka, Pincus, Dolan, and we are based out of Crown Point at 9801 Connecticut Drive. We are here tonight representing RCJJ Development LLC, the petitioner in this matter. We are here tonight for a public hearing to discuss the voluntary annexation of approximately 4 acres at the 600 block of 700 North, Porter County, Indiana, into the city of Portage. This is a 2-stage annexation takedown because of the contiguousness of the first parcel as compared to the second. The first annexation, along with a future voluntary annexation of 53 acres, will result in a total development of approximately 58 acres. The proposed zoning on the 2 annexations will be brought in as a Class R4 district, single-family residential zoning classification. As you can see from the proposed site plan that we have here tonight, that we have roughly 240 units maximum at the site between single-family homes and cottage homes. Within the development, we have single-family homes, cottage homes, water features, and a farm-themed theme park for children and adults to enjoy with sidewalk connectivity for public sidewalks. Let me just add to this as well. It's been a pleasure to work with Attorney Witten, Attorney McClure, and Mr. Monroe on this project. At this time, if there are any questions, I enjoy hearing them from the Common Council. I will add, though, that the park that's being installed in this development will be totally taken on by the HOA. It will be built by the developer, taken on by the HOA. So, again, thank you for your time. If there are any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Does the council understand the notion of the 2-part takedown?
Yes, at least I do. So the one portion is not contiguous to the city, so we need to do one portion first in order to be able to do the second.
Yeah, there's a 4-acre parcel that we're doing first.
Yep.
We'll come back at a later time and do the 53-acre parcel secondly.
Because we can't do outside non-contiguous areas.
Correct.
Not enough
We have to form contiguousness to get to the total development itself.
So, my question, when I had initially heard about this development, it was 100 units, and then I just heard 240.
Okay.
Is that just like the back end of it that was 240, and maybe I misunderstood originally?
The whole development is 240.
Okay.
On the first 4 acres, will there be homes on that?
There will be, as we do the two-part takedown, there will be homes and cottage homes on the entire development itself. We have to do this in a 2-stage takedown, which will mean the 4-acre parcel comes in first, the 53-acre parcel comes in second, for a total of approximately 57 acres.
I don't see that diagram supplied to us, or at least I don't have it.
Yeah, that diagram wasn't sent to us?
I don't think it was, no.
In the packet. So I think it would be important to get that diagram to the council
Yeah,
members.
we'll make it simple. Joe, if you could send me everything you got, and I'll get it to, they're not taking action, you're not taking action tonight anyway, this is his presentation, that way
Right.
you can follow up with questions.
But I'm just saying, for us to make, as a part of our due diligence.
Okay.
Can you describe, just because there's the public watching, where this is?
It's at the 600 block of 700 North in Porter County. So
So it tees into, is that Vanessa? What's
So
the
if you
cross
take.
street? Yeah, it's down by
between
Swanson. I'm trying to think of what the road is. I think it's Vanessa,
where the
right?
city comes up all the way to 700 is where it's going to touch.
Correct.
So it is west of Willow Creek? Yeah, there's only one block of Portage
It's between
that
Willow
touches
Creek
700.
and Swanson.
Could you describe the theme park that you mentioned?
It's going to be a farm-based theme, well, I should say, park itself. It's going to have a tractor theme. It's going to have, it's just going to be a farm theme in itself. So we had talked with the administration, and that's what the administration had kind of stated to us that they'd like to see out there. So, and again, with the development itself, it's going to have connectivity to all the sidewalks, and it's going to have sidewalks within the development, and we're going to try to link up to the walking trails as well. So,
Theme park threw me. It's a park that is themed.
the park that is themed. No, we're not going to build a.
That made more sense.
Okay.
Disney World.
Like, man, that's going to be an interesting park.
So it's on the map in front of us, there's two different colors. These aren't the 4 acres and.
No.
What it
I
is,
mean,
is
how
it's
big
the
is it?
single family versus the cottage homes.
Okay.
So the cottage homes are in the back of the development.
Cottage homes are in the back. The difference between single family and cottage, single family would be, the single family homes will take care of their maintenance, where the cottage homes will be maintenance free. And the price points we're coming in at for the cottage homes are $325,000, and the single family homes on average will come in at about $400,000.
That's all included in the HOA?
That's all included in the, well, in the HOA for the maintenance of the subdivision itself.
Right.
Can you talk, sorry, go ahead, Pat, sorry.
With this HOA, who's gonna maintain the snow plow and the garbage pickup and things like this, means it's private?
When the development's being built, it will be through the developer itself. When the development is fully built out, then it'll be turned over to the HOA itself. So they'll be in charge of maintenance, they'll be in charge of upkeep on the parks, everything else. The parks will be totally maintenance free though.
Okay, what
But
about
the
the snow
streets,
plows and the garbage?
yeah, the streets will be city streets.
Yeah.
The streets will be
Okay.
city streets. Snow plows, of course, will come in through the city eventually, and then garbage pickup will be done through the city as well.
Okay.
Joe, can you talk a little bit about, I know it's described in the proposal, what we would be looking at potentially in terms of tax revenue? Because I think that's important context to have. Because it's not in the city now, so it's not generating anything. But if it were in the city, what would be the potential?
Correct. I'm looking through my notes right now to get you a figure on that, because it's significant. I know it is significant itself, so.
I think, all right, I've got the number right here for you. A full build out should realize about $312,000 a year in property tax revenue.
Correct.
But that's not inclusive of income taxes, or sewer fees or anything, that's just property tax?
Correct, that's just property tax itself is fully built out.
Does anybody else have any questions for Joe?
Yes, I do. Is this gonna be sidewalks, both sides of the road, or just one side, or any at all?
Both sides.
Both sides throughout the
Both
development?
sides. So there's going to be connectivity as you come off from the entrance itself. You can walk throughout the subdivision itself, then come back out on the other side.
So it's just around the perimeter then? Or is it through all the finger streets too?
Every street.
Every street.
That's what I was
Every
asking,
street,
yeah.
yeah.
In front of everybody's house, there will be a.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
On both sides.
You mentioned the water features, is that a pension fund or a splash pad?
There are two. There are water features here which are more of, I'll call retention ponds, but they are water features itself, which in a detention basin right here. So they are, that is to highlight and significant, make the area more significant itself, so.
And the HOA is gonna take care of that?
The HOA is gonna take care of that as well as the park and the cottage homes itself.
Is that just for aesthetics, or is that also for drainage issues? I mean,
Aesthetics and for drainage.
Yeah.
So it serves a dual purpose.
So that won't be hooked up to the city, it's all gonna be drained into the retaining ponds?
It's all gonna be hooked into the
Same.
detention pond.
It's gonna be conventionally, it's a storm sewer system.
Sure.
Part of the storm system now.
So it's gonna be tied into the city or no?
Well,
Or is
it's
it
gonna,
gonna-
it's gonna have to discharge, but we're gonna detain the water on site like a normal subdivision would.
Okay.
We're just spreading out the detention, so it's not all lumped in one spot.
Sure.
So then you have a little bit of room between the backyards, and the houses aren't really right on top of each other. It gives them a nice little room feature between the homes.
Yeah.
You know, we just thought it'd be something a little bit nicer, not to put the detention all in one spot. But eventually, it has to make its way down to that southwest corner.
Right.
Now, that pond, now, trust me, that hasn't been engineered yet, that pond is probably gonna grow.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we wanna do, is we wanna spread the detention out through the development to make it more aesthetically pleasing to everybody, instead of just putting one pond in one area.
Yeah, that's nice.
I have another question, but Ferdinand had one, so.
Thank you, appreciate it. Have your clients had any other developments here in the city of Portage or Northwest Indiana that we can perhaps reference?
Well, my clients did the Gates of St. John, which is a significant development in St. John, Indiana.
this
Steve,
be
would you like,
similar
this is
to
Steve
the
Kill,
Gates of St.
he's the developer representative.
We've actually done dozens, yes, dozens and dozens of developments. I know there was some concern about HOAs. We have very successful HOAs. They're very well funded. Like Joe said, we will have an HOA here. We are going to dedicate the park. And I heard the park problems that the city's having tonight, so we want to assure you, we're going to build the park. We're going to put the themed equipment in, and I actually picked it out. I didn't know everybody was going to want to see it tonight, but I do have a picture of it. So the HOA is going to maintain the park, mow it, weed eat it, everything like that, but it's going to be dedicated to the city as a public park. The problems we've run into in the past is if it remains a private park to the HOA, deeded to them, then all of a sudden, kids aren't allowed to come in and play in the park. Somebody says, oh no, you're not paying for that, that's our park. Believe me, it causes problems. So it's better that it's a public park dedicated to the city that the HOA maintains.
And there will be a written agreement to that effect, right, Dan?
There will be covenants and restrictions and deed restrictions to that effect. And all the, like I said, all that will be presented to the Plan Commission at some point, the Town Council, City Council.
Clear through the attorney.
This hasn't gone to Plan Commission, just to be clear.
We haven't
Right.
done anything yet.
The annexation's the first step.
Of everything, yes.
It's the first step.
You've got covenants and bylaws.
We do.
For the HOA.
That will be presented, that's correct.
What are the HOAs gonna run?
The HOAs are going to maintain Again, we have the traditional, what you
Yeah,
consider
the
She meant the
traditional
cost.
single-family.
What's
I
the
mean, what it's
cost?
gonna cost.
Oh, the fee for the HOA? We haven't established the fee yet.
What are they, in some of your other ones that you've done, what do you usually?
We try to keep it anywhere between 125 to 300 a month, depending on what they have to maintain and what features are in the development now. So, you know, in this particular area, the cottage home area, which is basically just single-family homes, where it's all maintenance-free, they will obviously be subject to a higher HOA fee because they're gonna get snow removal and, you know, lawn care, things like that.
Sure.
So, but there'll be the master HOA and then there'll be the sub HOA to take care of the cottage home area, which is typically what we do. And again, they can't opt out of the HOA. It is a deed restriction that is placed on the property. When they buy it, they get it, they know they're part of it.
Yep.
And it
So
runs-
there's no getting out of it.
And it runs with the land, so
Right.
there's gonna be no succeeding from the HOA itself.
Yeah, there are a few examples where they tried to set up an HOA in the city and it didn't work, and now we're having problems. So they didn't do the process to where you were required. It was a mess. So
Yeah,
This will be a totally clean process.
Yep.
for us, so.
it'll be similar to the other development that we have going across airport. That it's the same setup HOA wise for them because they have a small little park area and walking trail.
I guess my big question would be, I mean, twofold. One, are you guys interested in trying to develop land around this? Because as of right now, there's only one access point for these, 230 homes. That would be a lot of traffic all trying to exit at the same place,
We are always interested in developing property, especially around property that we have.
Right.
A lot of times, though, it's not as easy as you may think, because if the property owner doesn't want to sell, there's really not much you can do, but we're always interested in that, yes. The answer to your question is yes.
And the second part would probably be more for Dan or AJ, but I mean, if we're talking about annexation, we can annex this, and then the actual process to get it to shovel ready is lengthy. And so how viable, can we put this through a viability, put it before a planning committee to say, because you don't want to annex the land and have the planning department look at that plan and go, we can't do any of this.
The process requires us to go from the plan.
So yeah, just to be clear, they have to go through the plan commission process.
Right. Yeah.
They have to have their subdivision, if they're gonna do a rezone, if they're looking for variances, if they're looking for, any of that, they have to go through the BZA too. So they're gonna be going through the process like any other developer. Some of the questions that were asked tonight are gonna be asked by the plan commission, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they'll.
I think, Brian, if I could, I think your question was, if this development doesn't happen and we annex it into the city, does it stay annexed into the city? That was right, Brian, that was your question?
Yeah, it's just a long road,
Like, let's say something goes wrong and this development doesn't happen, now we just have farmland in the city. I mean,
Yeah.
still tax revenue that we didn't have to get before with nothing
Yeah,
on
I
it,
mean,
but.
part of the annexation process, one of the city has an ordinance that requires us to appear in front of the plan commission as part of this annexation process. So after tonight, we would request that the council consider two things tonight. Introduction of the fiscal plan and consideration of the annexation ordinance on first reading. That then, we will work with AJ and Kurt and everybody, get in front of the plan commission and start working through the process. And so the plan commission can actually make a recommendation to you all.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
That's part of the process.
We're not gonna take action on the annexation until.
I'm not
this is-
gonna, we were not asking that you adopt an ordinance until you get a recommendation from the plan commission, which is required by city ordinance.
And state statute, so we have to, we have to wait anyway, but, so the thought was, and I don't wanna turn this into an all-night affair, although it may be too late. It's always what comes first, the chicken or the egg. I mean, do you wanna send them over to the plan commission, spend a ton of money, do a lot of engineering, a lot of architectural designing, get some crazy nod from the plan commission on land that's not even in the city, you come back to you say we don't want to annex it, they've wasted their time, they've wasted their money, and the plan commission's wasted their time. So that's always kind of the problem with sending them to the plan commission first. What really is kind of nice is that the two bodies can sort of run side by side. They come to you, they're introducing their ordinance and the petition for annexation, They're going back to the Plan Commission. I've talked to Scott McClure. I believe he's gonna reach out, try to get you onto the next Plan Commissioner agenda. They're gonna make their initial presentation to the Plan Commission. We can get some input or some feedback from the Plan Commission, probably initially. And then they're gonna be coming back to us, of course, shortly thereafter for our consideration or your consideration of the annexation ordinance. Now, the thing is, it's sort of the one that's the risk taker here is them, because if they annex in and then they can't get done what they want to do,
Right.
you're no worse for the wear. They are.
So we'll start getting the tax revenue from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Albeit it's vacant land.
Vacant
Now
land.
they've got land, they've got to try to do something within
Right.
the city limits, trying to conform with them. So it's not a bad idea to get this body's input originally too, get the Plan Commission to talk, and then have the two sort of run side by side.
That being said, I would just assume work with the city council.
Yes. Yes. Well, and you don't want to, yeah, you don't want to do one, you don't want to not involve the Plan Commission, because I've seen it
Right.
where they've come in front of the city council or the town council, kept the Plan Commission completely out of it, didn't even tell them they were doing it, came in front of the city council, Plan Commission feels left out, doesn't even get asked their opinion. What's their next stop? Plan Commission.
Plan Commission.
So it's always better if everybody's at the table.
In these situations, I do a lot of municipal work throughout Northwest Indiana. You always want transparency.
Right.
And this is what we're bringing to you tonight, is the first initial, hopefully, reading of this ordinance with a fiscal plan, so you guys can in some way vet this tonight, but then we go in front of the Plan Commission and come back to you for a second reading. So it's being fully vetted. That's why we're here in front of the public tonight too, just to make our presentation to this body and the public.
We plan on calling this the Bauer Farm, is our initial name, named after the property owners. And we do have I guess, a little theme here that
It's not a theme park.
it's not a theme park, but we were going to do something like this with a little tractor and
That's,
and we were going to do the good surfacing, the rubber safety surfacing, no wood chips, none of that, all maintenance.
nice. Good job. Nice.
So if there's no other questions, Madam Mayor, I would suggest that you ask the public if there's anybody that wishes to speak for or against this petition.
Is there anybody here to speak for the annexation?
Or against.
No, I was going to say for.
Can you email us the more information?
Is there anybody here to speak for the annexation? Is there anybody here to speak against the annexation? You can come up and speak, Mary.
Get my address. Okay, I live on 6391 Satin Avenue in Portage. The only concern I have is over there, when it rains a lot, 700 going east or west, there's a lot of water. Would you be able to control the drainage? Because flooding is a lot of problems in the fields there. And people have said yes before, and people have had trouble. Other subdivisions in town, and they're still fighting to have the contractor try to amend it. You know, they have flooding in their homes. Off Airport Road, they're having trouble in other subdivisions, and people are still fighting for years to have their homes, you know, fixed. They're fighting, they're battling it. The drainage.
Yeah, we haven't even started the engineering.
I was just curious, you know, about the drainage.
Well, I mean, as everybody in here knows, there's one of our stops is, there has to be stormwater approval, and when we go through the subdivision process, there is a lot. So, we will definitely take that into
So
consideration.
again, we're gonna hire certified professionals to go ahead and do drainage calculations, make sure everything's in order. We'll have staff review it, you know, and fully vet it before we come back to you with any type of plan.
Yeah, and being in my district, I know Cardinal Crossing does a great job of mitigating their water, and the flooding on Willow Creek, the basin that comes from is all on the other side of Willow Creek. So it wouldn't help with those issues, because typically when you build this, the hope is when you develop land that it helps with water issues, because like I said, you have to make a plan for mitigating the water on that property, and it's when it's open farmland that the water just goes wherever nature takes
Right,
it.
and in this instance, the detention basin where it's proposed,
Yeah.
down here, the site does shed this way.
I was gonna say, it probably goes to the southwest, right?
The detention basin is gonna be here. The only thing this could do is get bigger. There's no engineering that went into this. This is kind of my drawing. I know I need it here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these need to get bigger, or we need to add one, or we're gonna expand this, lose lots. We simply don't know yet,
Sure,
but we do
right.
know the detention is going to fall to the southwest.
Right.
Because that's the topography of the land. So when it's engineered, the engineer's gonna take that into consideration.
Whereas on the other side, it probably is going to the northeast, right? On the other side of 700, where Cardinal Crossing is, it's going to the northeast.
Yes, that is correct, yeah. There's actually a divide here,
There
Colin.
is, yep.
And you're absolutely correct, yes. So this is, like I said, everything here is gonna drain to the southwest. So and you, as you all know, there's really nothing down there. We're kind of at the south end of the city. So-
But that is a major concern that we've let residents down before in the past and
Sure.
stuff, so.
Well, and again, though, it's gonna be vetted by,
Whereas this drains to Willow Creek.
this drainage situation is not gonna be vetted by our professionals, it's gonna be vetted by your professionals.
Yeah.
So with an agreed upon plan.
Yeah, that's why I think we do a better job of that now, because we have had issues in the past. And
Okay, if there are no more questions, is there anyone else to speak against? Chief?
I don't have for or against. I just would like to ask, I know my other counterparts, just to address the council with the other department heads and everything, to remember about servicing all this area.
Yes.
Yep.
We have this, 200, and I welcome, I love it that development's coming, more people are coming to Portage. I have nothing against it. I just think that you guys as a body need to sit down and make sure that streets, police, fire, everyone, I mean, luckily the park is taken care of, but the rest of us, I mean, we're already struggling now with the developments we got, and throwing more in there, just something to keep in mind.
Randy, I was gonna ask you earlier, what is the radius of a station coverage by state? What is the area where you have to build another fire station?
I don't recall exactly, we have a map, we have maps.
Yes.
We've had it out.
Yes.
Yes, we are eventually going to have to soon.
We're gonna have to build a fourth fire station at
Right.
some point.
We're gonna have to look at the southeast.
Yep.
Yeah. We're gonna have to look at rearranging and all of our.
But I think
so.
we're probably gonna be building that regardless of this development. It's the ones that are already come in.
Yeah.
I mean,
This one's pretty
Right.
close to Swanson Fire Station.
Yeah, but it's just the call volume, and that's our busiest
Yeah.
station.
Yeah, right.
One of our
Yeah.
busiest stations already, so I just, because me and Randy were kind of looking at each other, and it's like.
I think it's,
Well,
and
it's
Gina and
all-
I were talking about this earlier, it's a balancing act.
I did have a conversation
Right.
with council person at first, and,
Yeah.
it's something that did bring me to mind is, we're struggling to
Yep.
do what we got now. And
Right.
The ambulance
we need to get a good plan together that we're gonna have to add.
Yeah, for me, it's a balancing act between, we've got to raise revenue, and the way to raise revenue is development, but we've also got to keep up. And with something like this, we know it's coming. This isn't going to be done tomorrow. It's going to be done 3 years, 4 years from now. We have
Now
to
is
plan
the
for that
time,
over
now
time,
is the time to plan.
right? Right.
Yeah,
As
it's
with
gonna
any
be-
development.
It's gonna be phased in.
The
Yeah.
build-out is gonna be
Right.
years.
Yeah.
But again, and then all of a sudden tomorrow, it's 5 years later, and
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
we're behind the
why
eight ball, and that's just,
Yep.
just something.
I already mentioned that in an email to the officials that we need to start looking forward to this.
Like I said, I'm not against development. I love the development. I love the city, watching it grow, but just something to think about.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Ted Uselak, 6545 Candy Avenue. I live in the 3rd District, Scotts District. The only thing I would say is that we just heard a utilities department head say that they break into a sweat every time that it rains. That's the sewer plant that'll be hooked up to this development.
Yes.
We have policemen, firemen, street departments, and parks that said that they're short X, Y, and Z. Granted, you have to raise revenue, but it doesn't have to be residential. Actually, you're getting less bang for your buck when properties are there. Commercial and even farming is at a higher rate. So I would consider that. I'm not going to speak for or against the annexation nor the development. It could be great. But the 300 and some $1,000 in tax revenue that you mentioned, if that's an accurate number, and I don't know if it is, but that's not paying the shortfall that the park
Well, sure.
talked about for a single year. So you guys got a lot on your plate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak against the annexation? If not, I'll declare the public meeting closed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take your time.
We just did. We did that. Well,
Mayor, on the agenda, could we skip to introduction of ordinances, wrap up these few first readings, and then go back to ARP and get these just wrapped up now?
We can.
If everyone's okay with that.
I need to get going. I'd like to do the ARP now.
That's fine.
I have to go into
Yeah,
work.
we can do ARP now.
Yeah.
Just trying to get those wrapped up, and then we can spend the rest of the time talking. But
Yeah.
that's fine too.
Yeah, I need to get those done because I have motions to make, then I gotta go to work.
Okay, we'll do the ARP now then. Yep.
Thank you.
So we have the ARP fund, additional appropriation determination.
I have a question on that. It says additional. What appropriations have already been approved?
Well, you know we've done appropriations.
It's on here.
It's just an additional appropriation because it wasn't included in the
Right,
budget.
it's not in the
That's
budget.
all.
But wasn't that, how do you come up with appropriation? You haven't done anything in public. Won't you have to do it in public?
We did do it.
We did. We would do it next, at the
Yes,
next
it's
meeting.
Additional, so what it is, it's called an additional appropriation because it wasn't in the original budget.
Okay.
This is extra money, so it'd be like any other additional appropriation. This is not the hearing by which we will be
No.
But we did
making
approve
this
some
vote.
expenses.
I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
But Pat, we did approve some last year
In December.
in December. That was the stipend to the employees.
Yeah.
That was, we
I
already
was just asking a
appropriated some
question.
of there. No, just wanting to make sure you
No, that-
understood that.
Thank you.
Okay, Colin?
I actually think Scott wanted to say a lot, so I'm just going to let Scott go for it.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to pass down a document here. The council has received this document. I want to go through it so everyone in the public can hear what this document represents. I spent some time several days ago preparing a document to get to the point we knew exactly how much money we had to appropriate. What is the ending amount or beginning amount, depending on how you want to look at it. So this particular document that I did share with the council has several goals. One is to show the total ARP dollars received to date. The clerk treasurer has provided those fund reports, so that data was pulled from those reports. Show the additional anticipated revenue to receive from the state. So we basically got 50% up front, and we should get the other 50% very shortly. We also wanted to show the ARP expenditures to date, money that was actually spent, and then show the ARP dollars that need to be appropriated, reappropriated, because they weren't encumbered in 2022. So I'll explain that when I go through the document. And then finally, show the balance of the ARP dollars year to date. So, the first thing I'm doing this by the accounts that have been provided by the clerk treasurer. The first was account number 176-000-420, and that was for personal services, and that was the additional dollars paid to our employees. That was an expenditure in 2021. We appropriated $500,000, but we only actually spent $283,247.53. The next category was supplies under that same account number. And there were two items that were discussed. One was the park generator, which is in dire need of repair, and park IT upgrades, in particular to be able to access the internet in all aspects of the park. We currently have a problem in, which hall is that?
Oakwood.
Oakwood Hall. So we appropriated $50,000 for the generator and IT upgrades, but it never got encumbered. Therefore, it's my recommendation that we reappropriate the $50,000 for those expenditures. The next account was account number 176-000-430, entitled Other Services and Charges. And these were expenditures that actually took place with ARP money. One was to Samuelson Insurance for cyber liability coverage in the amount of $7,106.33. And also Lexipol, updating some of our records, which was an actual expenditure of $47,879.65. Then finally, we had account number 176-000-440, which was capital outlay. And that was some expenditures that took place for IT upgrades with proven systems for $7,818.49, and another expenditure for $18,075.33. Also under that account that was discussed in December that the mayor referred to that meeting, we appropriated $750,000 for Founders Square upgrades, but that money did not get encumbered, so therefore we have to reappropriate those dollars. On the next page is just a summary of what I just went over. So monies that have been expended to date, ARP dollars, our payroll, $283,247.53. Other services, which is the two charges for Samuelson Insurance and Lexipol, those total $54,985.98. And a capital outlay of $25,893.32, which is the proven IT upgrades that took place under the previous mentioned amount. So that total, which is dollars we've already expended, is $364,127.33. So we spent that money. Monies to be encumbered, to be spent because they weren't encumbered, were the $50,000 that I aforementioned amount to the generator and the park IT, and $750,000 for the capital outlay for Founders Square. So that totals, obviously, $50,000 and $750 totals $800,000. So you add those two together, which we're basically saying is $1,164,127.33, which is the total of what we spent and what we need to encumber, basically what we've committed to.
Scott?
Yes.
You can only encumber, we did encumber some monies in January. I have to have a physical invoice in order for us to encumber anything.
Okay. Thank you. It doesn't change the dollar amount.
It can't be encumbered, so it has to be, if those were still going to be allocated, appropriated, then it has to just be redone no matter what.
Some were like proven and.
Those were encumbered.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yep, at the
Yeah,
January meeting.
that's what I'm saying. All right, so the third page gets us to the dollar amount that we believe is the balance of the ARP funds to be appropriated. So basically, our initial allocation that we received, again, this is from the fund report that was prepared by the clerk treasurer, was $4,175,437.28. In addition to that, we received a supplemental allocation of $15,804.69 for a total of $4,191,241.97. So we received that amount of money today. So if we subtract out the $1,164,127.33, which is the amount that we expended and the amount that we have to reappropriate, as the clerk treasurer said, we have to be invoiced. But those projects are in ongoing or completed. So the balance then, after you take out the $1,164,127.33, leaves us with $3,027,114.64. You then add that, you add the additional dollars that we anticipate that we're going to get, which is $4,175,437.28, which brings us to a little over $7 million, $7,202,551.92. So with that said, what I'd like to do, are there any questions on that?
I do.
Yes.
That's $750 for Founders Square that hasn't been spent yet. I think that needs to be put back into the total, and we need to go through our department's needs first.
All right. This is, this is all up for discussion.
I get that. So I think we need to take that 1.164, $127,000 or $127.33 and apply it back to the total grant of 72 of valuable funds.
Okay.
Available funds.
Well, we need to discuss that.
So just to be clear, so if we're really, that is a determination yet to be made, because what we're kind of doing tonight, what you're kind of doing tonight is intimating the things that you are anticipating being on the list for consideration after the statutory public hearing at your special meeting. So the appropriations, if we're calling it reappropriation, you're still going to take action on it.
Right, that would still have to be
You're still
added
gonna
to
vote
the
on it.
list.
Okay, right, but I was just told that it's already spent.
No, it's not
that's what he
spent.
said.
Okay,
It's
well,
not reappropriated.
So the
I
750
seen what the
and
balances are, and it's not including that money.
It's be appropriated, and it has 800,000. So he's saying we would need to add that to the list if we wanted to. Nothing making us do that, but if
Okay.
the council decided to do
Well, I
that.
just want to make sure that
Be on
I
the list.
understand this correctly.
Okay.
That is still available funds.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
All right, so what I did to begin facilitation and discussion of this 7 million or 7,000,007, however we want to look at it, is I prepared a document that is just suggested uses of the balance of ARP funds. This is just a discussion document. It's by no means etched in stone. Pass those down. That may be enough. So, as I stated, this is just to begin the discussion, to initiate some talk about what the possibilities are. Do you have enough copies down there?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
So, fire department, 1.2 million to go for, they've talked about the need for a new fire truck, talked about the need for more training and miscellaneous equipment. Police department, 1.2 million. Again, for equipment, possibly vehicles, and continued training. Treatment plant, $1 million for the clarifier upgrades. Street department, $1.6 million for their vehicles and equipment that they've stated that they have needed. Park Department, we just heard tonight from our board president, $500,000, $500,000 to help with operating funds. I'm suggesting, again, just for a point of discussion, a starting point, $1 million to hold back for unplanned expenses. I'm also suggesting that we entertain consideration to our quality of life issues that, and the 3 entities that have made appeals for dollars. One is the library for their outdoor library park for $300,000, the Y for $300,000, and NEO Neighborhood Educational Opportunities $100,000. So that brings us to $7.2 million. So I'd like to open up the floor for discussion.
Can I just go ahead and make my motion for expenditures of what I have as a liaison to the street department? I think I should be able to make.
You can do whatever you want, Mr.
Can I make a motion for adoption of an appropriation from the street department and other entities?
Not tonight.
Yeah, we can't take any action tonight on this because we have.
I'm just making a motion for an appropriation. I didn't ask for a vote.
You can make a motion
to
add it to the list of what we would appropriate.
A motion is you're moving the board to take action on a particular issue. That's what a motion is. So you, by making the motion, you're asking for a vote. That's what it is. We can't take action on this until we've had the public hearing.
Well, let me ask you this, Attorney Litton.
Thank you.
I can make a motion for this to be a document and brought back to public reading. Am I correct?
You can, sure.
Okay, that's what I would like to do. And I'd like to ask the councils to support that for it to be brought back as appropriation for public reading. And that is as follows. I make a motion for the street department, as being that the liaison, I'm asking for 5 snow plows. Total of each snow plow is $246,388. I am asking for a mini loader to 528 DLX to $62,446, one of those. 1 bucket utility van of $100,000. 2 F-50 pickup trucks of $47,775 apiece. Commercial grade 0-turn mowers, 2 of them at $17,500 apiece. Roll paint striper at $33,650, just one of them. 2 leaf vacs at $89,032.04 a piece. An indoor scissor lift at $20,000. I also asked, that was a total of, on that was $1,164,127.33 total of the street department's equipment needed. Then I also asked for additional $350,000 for up to 6 employees, 2 per for the police, 2 for the fire, 2 for streets, and if we can salvage enough out of that for $250,000, 2 for the parks. I'm also asking for the American Legion Post 260 at 5675 Mulberry, Portage, Indiana, $100,000 for the veterans. And then I'm also asking for the veterans of the VFW Post 7760, Foreign Wars at 2803 Monier Street, Portage, Indiana, $100,000. NEO, the education center that came and asked of loss of revenue during the pandemic, at 5201 US Route 6, Portage, Indiana, additional 100,000 to them as well. Which you'd already got those on there, but I added for our veterans. And I'd like to make that an appropriation to be read in the, for first reading, the next meeting.
We can't vote.
Well,
so-
we can have.
Can I get a
well-
second on that as an appropriation?
Well,
No.
I want to ask Dan, so we can just have the appropriation on the agenda and then.
Right.
Right. If
Okay.
there's a motion to adopt in a second, we'll vote on it. Right.
You've heard Scott's initial foray for discussion, now you've heard Pat's suggestions. What I am telling you is, we're not gonna take any action whatsoever on this.
I get that.
Right. So I think.
Let me have a shot at finishing. So, because statutorily, you're talking all these numbers now, and we haven't gotten to the public hearing yet for the public to even weigh in. So what I'm asking you to do is go through these things. I don't care what you put on the list. You're the council. We get to our public meeting, the public sees what you've got on the list. We don't have to pass it in its final form the way everything on the list doesn't have to stay on the list.
Right.
But we have to get some direction as to what we want to come into our public meeting with. And I think we've heard two suggestions so far.
And I don't think we're far off on the two suggestions.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You know, I just presented this as a suggestion, as to get the ball rolling. So Pat's adding to that. Yeah, he's
on
all
behalf
and
as
he's
as
adding.
a taxpayer and
Yeah, I don't know.
he's on the street department.
Right. So I think we need to hear maybe from other council members what they would, how they would like to see this list edited, altered, whatever. So we know all of our options, all of our options when we, I got carried away there.
Yes, you did.
Banging the mic. So we know all of our options and get it out on the table of what this list may include.
Could I ask a question? Pat, I have a question
Yes.
for you. With your adding of new employees, so that will come out of the ARP funds, but where will it come from in the future years? Because if that's $350,000, that's gonna have to be added to the budget every year to cover those 6 employees, if that indeed covers it. That benefits, and Dan said that's not close. So my concern is, yes, that's a great idea, but going forward, how's it gonna be paid for? There's no more ARP money after this.
Spend it wisely.
Well, what I think what the mayor's saying is, when the ARP money's gone,
Yeah.
how are we gonna keep the employees? Our budget is already very, very
Well, I don't
tight.
know, maybe we can collect some fees from the YMCA for use of the pool.
Okay, but that's not gonna pay for 6 employees in 2028, and 2029, and 2030, when they're here for 20-something years. I mean,
I get
if
all
we're gonna
that.
add employees, we need to make sure the money is there in 10 years, otherwise, we're gonna be talking about laying employees off. And I don't think we wanna do that. So,
Well,
I mean, this is back to, the COPS grant was a similar issue years ago.
I'm just saying, I'm putting my confidence in the city employees and what our infrastructure is calling for. Our taxpayers deserve quality services.
I don't disagree with that.
Well, that's what we need to do with these funds.
But our
That's where my
residents
heart is at,
deserve-
is with the tax
Our
residents.
residents also deserve quality of life, Pat,
What should
and I
come
know you
first, though?
disagree with me on that, but when young people are coming to our community, and what are they looking at first? The schools for their kids? When I come to this community, what's here? And we're lacking a lot of that too. So when you take 50 or 60 kids off the street and you put them in a pool, they're not out there getting in trouble, they're learning water safety. You can laugh in my face, Pat.
But you need to you
all
gotta
the other-
plow the streets to
But
get to the
Pat,
YMCA.
you're creating a false choice between the two.
My point
As
is,
Scott has laid out,
I
no,
made-
Pat, please let me
I
finish.
made my
Pat, please,
motion.
Pat, I'm speaking, please let me finish. Scott laid
Go
out
about
that
it.
we can do all of this within the money we have. You're creating a choice between, you can't do both, when we can do both.
Okay,
There's
that's
nothing
fine.
saying we can't do both, and you've turned it
Wonderful.
into, it's this or that, and
It's not
and
that I
that's
have
not
a
the
thing
case.
against the YMCA's pool, it's that I
I'm not
want the
saying you do,
taxpayers
Pat, but what I'm
first.
saying is you're turning it into that we can't do both, when we can do all of
Okay,
this.
well, wonderful, great.
But you're making it to so confrontational between quality of life and providing quality services when we have enough money to do both.
Okay, good.
So I just don't understand the confrontation around this and,
Well, that's-
and treating organizations like they're begging for money. This money is designed to transform communities. That's why Gary, Indiana got $83 million and Hammond got $64 million.
So we're gonna
and their
build
schools
a-
got $80 million.
So we're gonna be able to fulfill all our needs with the city first, is what you're saying?
As Scott has laid out, the fire department has asked for these items, and we can do that at 1.2 million. Police has asked for items, and we can do that at 1.2 million.
Okay,
Treatment
wonderful.
plants
I
asked
didn't
for $1
know
million.
they were- I
Street
didn't know
departments
that
asked for
was enough.
1.6 million. Well, it's right here, written down. And it
I
adds
didn't
up.
see an itemized list with it, it's just an amount.
The itemized list is what the departments gave us at the last
already
meeting.
gave us their
Right,
list.
they
This
listed
will-
them out.
So for the fire
Good.
and the
So
police,
I
this will
expect them to
enable
get
them to
everything
do
they need.
extra things.
Right.
Because
That's
what
wonderful.
they're,
They had asked for $1 million. We said 1.2. Police, I think their total only came to 500 something thousand, and we put 1.2 million there, or
Okay.
Scott did rather.
however, we
So,
also have to remember, we can't appropriate all of it right now.
Right.
We have to keep some of it behind.
which
Why?
is what Scott has listed.
Because I think there are things that we cannot discuss right now.
They were discussed in an executive session meeting.
Executive session, and we're not at liberty, am I correct, Attorney Witten?
Well, I thought that was about contracts, I didn't know it was about.
No, it was about pending
There was other
litigation.
things.
So if I may ask a question, ladies and gentlemen, and Councilman Clem, so your calculations regarding the street department are approximately 1.1 million before the appropriate, or the proposed 350,000 for the 6 additional hires. So 1.1 million comes in under the 1.6 that is suggested on this form.
No, I think it was 1.6 million, wasn't it?
It was 1.6.
Or
He said 1.1.
1.164.
list. Yeah, he read off Randy's original list.
Okay, then. I withdraw
And
my
then added
question.
to it, sorry.
So I'd like to comment, since this is my list, I didn't just pull these figures out of the air. I took copious notes when the police presented their needs, when the fire presented their needs, when the street their needs. Hearing from the park tonight, I figured that 500,000 was probably pretty close to where you were gonna come. So these were not numbers that were just pulled out of the air or were guessed at. I spent over 7 hours, and that's fine. Putting this together, going through my notes, going through the presentation notes that were made by the various not-for-profits, and that's how I arrived at these suggested numbers.
Yeah, but can I say something, Scott?
Sure.
You brought something to the table with nothing, just numbers. Now you wanna go back and try to itemize what you're gonna purchase all those numbers, which you didn't present.
No, I
That's
did
why I
not.
wanted to present a detailed list for the street department, because I'm their liaison. That's what I want supported out of my suggestion.
Well, yes.
They provided all that at the meeting, though. We
We
listened to
all
them. We
heard.
all had their presentations. We know what's on their list.
Good, I just wanna make sure that it's,
Based on their list.
Right.
Yeah, the
That's
1.6,
wonderful.
the 1.6 million for the streets came out of that same list that you read.
you got two 250s on your list?
Took it out of that list. He just said it. He took the list Randy gave us. It totals 1,661,000. I believe that includes the $90,000 up top that's already in the budget.
Right.
And got to 1.6 million. He just told you that. The fire department came asking for $1 million fire truck. Scott listed 1.2 for the new fire truck, training and equipment. Police department asked for 500-ish thousand. There's a list that Mike provided. Scott is suggesting 1.2 million in equipment, vehicles, training. That probably includes new police cars, something Mike mentioned but didn't put in his actual request. The treatment plan asked for $1 million for clarifiers. That's what Scott listed. Park department tonight said that they need their operating funds restored from what the state cut their budget by.
Good.
That's why he has
Put
500,000
it on
listed.
appropriation and we'll bring it to public.
That's what we're here tonight to discuss.
I just wanna make sure this list was Red.
I would suggest, if the council is okay with this, that Councilman Williams put together the list, send this to the council, send this to the clerk treasurer to notice as a public hearing. Nina, what is the date you would need that by in order to notice
That's
it?
what we had already thought about, that's why we picked the 27th.
Right, but I'm asking, what date does Scott need to provide you information by in
There's no
order to
detail, that's why I
publish it?
questioned it. I mean, hey.
Well, the appropriation's just gonna be $1 million to capital. It's not gonna list out the exact items. That's-
Because there's things you're
Right.
supposed to bring to the board
But
of works, though.
the appropriations have to be by the fund and the type of appropriation they're going to, correct, Nina? Not $1 million for a fire truck.
Right.
It's gonna be $1 million to capital outlays.
But I mean,
And it'll
with
be
the
a
street
total of all the
department,
capital
you're gonna say
outlays.
$1.1 million in the total would not say what it's for?
Pat, the appropriation
Don't
itself.
talk down to me,
Pat,
Colin.
I'm not talking down to you.
Yes, you are.
But
You
I'm
better be careful with that.
Pat, I'm not talking down to you. The appropriation is going to list out the actual appropriation number, because that's what is legally required. At the meeting, we can talk about exactly what's in those appropriations, as we did in December. But the appropriation itself will be the major category of capital outlays, personnel, whatever the major appropriation categories are listed in the chart of accounts, as it was in December, as any appropriation we've ever done is done that way.
And then we'll clarify at the meeting, when it's a public reading, we can clarify what those
Exactly.
numbers are for.
Exactly.
Okay?
And that'll include an update of our plan, as I emailed about earlier. Dan has recommended we update that plan.
It's just what I want to make sure that was
We
clarified,
really
that
need to do that, because then really.
it's not being
what-
produced that way.
what Accounting is you're supposed to read.
Wait now, we
Right.
have one
Right.
person talking at a
So,
time.
Nina, what date does Scott need to provide a detailed appropriation for?
I'm thinking it's the 13th, let me just
have
double
to
check.
So as we roll along, we're going to modify our plan, but they made
Right.
it real simple by giving us the up to 10 million revenue loss, and that's would be a recommendation that I think you ought to take. But we're
Right.
going to make it simple for you all. Nothing's gonna be purchased without invoices, without contracts approved by the board of works. Everything's gonna go through the process, just so everybody knows.
So when did, I have to excuse myself. Thank you for moving the agenda around so I can
Yep.
speak my piece with the
So,
street department's needs.
Tuesday
But
the
I have to
12th.
go. I have a-
Scott, you'll need to provide to Nina the detailed appropriation by Tuesday, the 12th.
For the 27th.
Can you provide it to the council potentially by Friday, the 8th, this Friday?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
Is this gonna be for a simple up and down on the whole appropriation list, or will we?
I think we would have the ability to remove or add items.
Still amend?
We can add items, but we would have the ability to remove from the appropriated list.
So, yeah, the thought here is as the public gives comment at the public hearing, you might be things that you want to take off, there might be things that you want to modify. So yes, and we'll try to keep up with the fast moving train here.
By modify, we can only, but we could decrease, we couldn't do more than we
We can only
advertised.
appropriate
Right.
what we currently have on hand.
That's correct.
So can we set a list of, well, we can appropriate, we know it's coming this year, so could we we can't pre-appropriate money we don't already have?
Correct.
So Scott, you'll have to work on off the cash number and then create the list of what we will do is when we get the second round of revenue.
Oh, okay.
Because we can only appropriate the cash receipts, right?
The actual money we have in hand.
Right.
Right.
So we would need.
So how are we
right.
handling, the 50,000 for the park upgrades for the generator and the 750,000 for Founders
It's
Square?
gotta be
I would suggest that would be on
It's
the
gonna be a
list
whole-
that you're
yeah,
gonna provide.
We're gonna pick it up at our meeting.
Right.
It's gonna be
And
part of our public hearing.
Nina, I have a question. So how detailed do I need to be? Do I need to put it in those account categories only?
See, here's what I'm struggling with though, because if we need to
Right.
update our plan to account for, to take that standard up to 10 million revenue loss, and then you decide, okay, well, we're gonna take these current budget appropriations and basically back them out of that fund, is what we really need to do. I mean, we can have a list so we can get to an amount of what's gonna actually be approved, but.
So
but
we're
in order to
gonna-
free up money in the budget.
So here's my question, let me.
I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
So do I need to be as detailed as Pat
has presented for the street department. For
You could be, so you got your personal services, you got your supplies, you got your other services and charges, and your capital. So I would go by department and then those categories
Good.
to get your money.
Yep.
Then I can do that.
And what we'll be doing is, to be clear, increasing the department's capital budget by X amount,
If
and
that's
then
where-
backing it out of Rescue Act, because the money has to be
Right.
paid out of the Rescue Act.
So we have capital, supplies,
Personal
some
services.
personal
and other
services,
services and charges.
and what was the fourth again?
Those would be.
Other
The four that I
other
mentioned,
services
right?
and charges.
Yeah, they're on.
So-
Let's
double check that.
Okay.
One other complexity here, so the Y, the veterans organizations, those would be appropriated, not part of the revenue loss, right? Those would be out of the Rescue Act. We need to figure out what that amount is in the plan, and leave that as unappropriated or
Well, then you would
community
have to,
grants.
then you,
My
That's tricky.
suggestion, if you're going to go down the road of we're going to allocate money to a particular not-for-profit.
it could be a mayor's promotion.
My suggestion would
Oh, good
be,
point.
the pool's a little bit different because it's a pretty major capital project, would be that you would earmark a certain amount of money sort of internally, and because you don't want to, unless you just want to give them money and say, gosh, I hope they do the pool. If the thought is, we want to give them money to do the pool, then you're going to want to be involved in the invoicing, the approval of the invoicing, paying directly to make sure that the project is getting done. And I think there's some thought out there amongst the many travel paths on how to handle this money, that if you give to a not-for-profit for a capital project such as the pool, the reading garden, that they also need to be done by, under contract 2024, done by 2026. So we're going to want to sort of track that. So I don't, unless you're just like, so it's very different with the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very different animal than, you want to give $5,000 to the Toys for Tots because you just want them to do good things. Give them money and show it under the giving to not-for-profit to help their revenue loss from the pandemic. But if we're really going to engage ourselves in a long-term sort of large capital project for a not-for-profit, I think we need to stay engaged in that project.
And I agree. On the two sessions that I attended that were presented by the auditor on how the county is spending their money, they were very concerned about how projects are tracked and documented. So I think we need to think that through on the process and how what oversight we want to have to those dollars. And you're right, they have to be encumbered by 2024 and then spent by a certain length of time. So I think we need to have further discussion on, we're not necessarily questioning that appropriation to these entities, but we want to make sure that we're in compliance with what the federal government is going to require from a reporting standpoint on how we oversee those dollars.
That's going to be a daunting task, by the way, that I suspect is going to fall pretty largely on me. And I thought about that. Because I'm going to have to engage myself with, for example, the YMCA, and I'm going to engage myself with the YMCA board, and kind of get an understanding of how if you decide to go down the path.
Right.
To make sure that it flows time.
So if I could suggest, Scott, that when you put this together, there is 900,000 left to grants to nonprofit organizations. When we update the plan, we will only include the revenue loss section for all of the funds except the grants to nonprofits. That will be a second section of the plan, because then at least we're holding the funds in the plan.
How do we know how other cities did that?
I don't know if we can take this, we can't take the standard deduction or lost revenue and do something different, I don't think.
I think we might be able to.
I think we need to check.
I'll double check that, but for the not-for-profit part.
I mean, there's within the budget, Tina brought up a good point. The mayor has the promotion budget. There are line items in the city budget that can fund grants. Right. We pay payroll and then the money's in the city budget. I mean, there are I agree, there are ways that we make this work to where we free up budget line items that can fund this work. I think we need to just come up and adopt the new plan that shows exactly what we're putting together and appropriate up to the remaining cash balance now, so we can at least get some of this money out, because the fire department needs to get started on the truck. We need plows.
I think some of the issue, because we can't appropriate the full amount now, I think all of the issues we're discussing are gonna be out of the next appropriation.
Right.
The one that we need to approve at the next
You're right.
meeting, we have plenty of things that are urgent and need to get rolling.
Yep.
Because we only have, so the next appropriation at the next meeting will only be for $3,800,000 and
You can't
change.
spend more than you have.
We can't spend more than we have.
Right.
Exactly.
So we're not gonna be able to appropriate this full list, just portions of it, and we know what.
And then we all
what
realize
is
that we
in
have
there.
to leave some of that unappropriated, even when we get
Right.
the last half.
Yeah.
All right, I'll prepare that document, right or wrong, by Friday.
And in the meantime, I'll double check on the notion of taking our lost revenue and also being able to.
Just to read the ease of reporting requirements, because that's why units were encouraged to take the standard deduction, I guess you could say, because there's not as stringent reporting requirements.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, if we just said it was all lost revenue, how would we get that into the YMCA?
We can still.
We can make grants as a city, right?
So what I'm saying is, we pull some, we allocate some or earmark some. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. I think we're on the same page of, we would claim all of it as lost revenue to meet that standard deduction of up to 10 million, and then within the city's budget, we could create a line item in the budget, I think, or we use the mayor's promotion line item. There are line items in the budget that we could use to fund grants to nonprofits, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, the promotion is the only thing, and we have an ordinance that allows for it, so.
yeah.
And the other one is-
Let me look,
well-
listen, we're throwing ideas out here. I'm gonna, between now and the 27th of April.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through all of these potential outcomes and try to come up with, an idea of.
One other
yeah.
solution to think through is, can the RDC get the money from the city? And then, because the RDC is already doing part of the YMCA pool, library park is in the YMCA, or the RDC budget, could the RDC get the money?
I don't know how you would.
It's still gotta be paid for out of the fund.
Right, okay.
So I have a question totally separate from this. I have a question for the Legion and the VFW. So of what Councilman Clem suggested, are there particular projects that you are wanting? Can you get us a list for that kind of money? What you're looking at?
We have a list. We lost about $91,000 during the pandemic. We need 5 new roof-mounted furnaces, air conditioning
Okay.
units. 4 of them don't even work. We're operating on 2.
Could you just put something together in writing so that we have it?
And-
Because others have done that, so just so we have it, so we know what
Yep.
we're looking at.
Yeah, we got a treasure. As a nonprofit, I know there's other nonprofits in this town. I, as commander, adjutant, I got trustees here, I got everything. We do not draw a penny for what we do at the Legion and for the Legion.
Gotcha.
There is no salaries for any of us. We are truly
No, I understand.
Right.
We're all volunteer. Gotcha.
Can you send that list to Councilman Williams, since he's putting together the list for us?
Things that you just mentioned that you needed, and on the VFW,
Actually, I'm a member of VFW.
Do you know
But I'm not, I don't go to either meeting.
if there's-
I'm not involved in their day-to-day.
okay. So
Who
that
would we
can
contact at?
Find out what it is that they're looking at.
Legion?
No, the VFW.
Who's commander over there? Have them call you on it. They got a new commander.
Yeah, they did, they got.
All right, I'll give you my card, and you can have that person contact me, but they're gonna have to do it quickly.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, we're under bid for, we have 5 local HVAC contractors preparing bids for us to go through. And we haven't received all of them yet. And there's a process we have to go through too. We have to
Right.
all that stuff. But anyhow, and we also know the exact revenue for 20 to 21, or 19 to 20, loss, profit and loss. And then getting better after the pandemic, as it came back in color codes, half openings and 50% capacity, and no hall rentals, all that stuff.
Some gentleman was speaking about how much money he had to give back, I believe the, new park, regular park minister, supervisor, about they having to give back X amount of dollars because of the hall rentals. We had to do the same thing.
Yep.
We had to write them all back, just give that money back. So, everybody knows
We're pleased to even be in the conversation.
Yes.
Okay, and we know this is a process. I know you mentioned that the other nonprofits come to you and ask for certain, we're not given an opportunity to do that, but those are the things that are priorities right now to keep us going.
We'll get a list to Councilman Williams so we can know exactly what we would be funding, so.
Thank you very much.
Anita, when do we need to notice this by?
The
13th.
The 12th.
13th.
Oh, the 12th,
So-
Yeah,
the 12th.
So the public can expect that the city government page will post the list by that date.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it'll be.
we'll get
When
that
you
out.
notice it, we can post it, because then it.
Yeah. It'll be legally in the paper and then we'll get that on
Yeah, so people
Facebook
can
for
see
sure.
it. ahead
So
of
I
the year.
just had one question, reviewing my notes from the previous meeting. I don't see anything appropriated or suggested appropriation for the marina.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Ferdinand.
as the liaison to the marina, I know that I know that the fish cleaning station has been the topic of several spirited debates, and Dan can attest to that as well. And so just wanted to put that out there and hope that you'll consider, that we shall consider the marinas.
Do you have a dollar figure that we could?
I was
Barb
just about to
could
get there.
she's right there.
Thank you.
200,000?
The station was in 2017 was $225,000. Repaving the parking lot, the gravel parking lot is $468,000. Signage to enter the marina, $20,000. We're asking for anything. We do not have the revenue to pay for any of these things.
Can you
Our
even?
revenue is $400,000 a year. Out of that is $133,000 for salaries, $70,000 to $80,000 for utilities. We are asking for any type of help whatsoever.
Well, I think it'd be helpful if we had, and I can appreciate that, Barb, that, you know, anything would be beneficial, and I understand that, but in a perfect world, a dollar amount that we could work from, and maybe, you know, your top two priorities or whatever, where would that dollar figure come in?
I can send you some, my top priority would be a fish cleaning station. That was part of the Marines Master Plan back in 1996.
That's 225?
That was 225 back in 2017.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 250 now.
250 or 275, we would appreciate any type of 50,000. I know it was originally discussed that 50,000 would be allocated to the fish cleaning station and 50,000 to the kayak launch. But the kayak launch is something that we're not doing anymore. That's going to be maybe through the national park system and part of this deal. But I mean, if we could get $100,000 for anything, we would certainly appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You've answered the question. Are you comfortable with that, Councilman Alvarez?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Just the chairman.
So I guess my suggestion then would remain that we put this proposed ordinance with the list together, get it out, get it to the public and comment on it, have ourselves a public hearing that can't be beat, and then make some decisions.
All righty then. I may need your assistance, Attorney Whitten. Would it be a pleasure?
It would be a pleasure.
So we have the, are we done talking about the ARP money?
I think so.
We have the introduction of ordinances, first reading. Colin?
Sure, so we're gonna skip 2203, right, Dan? We're not gonna do any of the annexation
I
stuff
don't think
tonight?
we need
Okay.
to, I don't think we need to attack that today. Now, you know, I changed my mind. Leave it on there. Let's do a first reading of it.
Yeah.
We're not bound for second reading.
All right.
We'll send at least a message to the plan commission. Hey, we've heard.
I think
All right.
it's a good idea.
Ordinance number 22-03, an ordinance of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, annexing adjacent and contiguous territory, be it, and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana as follows, whereas the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana is aware that certain property adjacent to or abutting the southern boundary of the City of Portage, commonly known as the 600 block of 700 North, Porter County, Indiana, should be annexed to the City of Portage, and whereas the parcel is at least or in excess of a 1/8 contiguous to the corporate boundaries of the limits of the City of Portage, and whereas the territory sought to be annexed is needed and can be reasonably utilized by the City of Portage for its development in the reasonably near future, let the record reflect this has been read in its entirety.
Is there any chance we could have Gina read all these ordinances?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what, thank you. I was thinking that'd be a good move.
So Dan, this won't be on our special meeting agenda, maybe May, it just depends on a few things, right? For a second meeting.
We gotta take action.
Oh, we have to take action before the plan commission.
Not our special, but it can be on our next regular.
On the May,
Okay.
the May one.
Because I think I'm gonna do the numbers, but our thought was they were coming for the special meeting.
We'll figure it out and we'll put it on one of the agendas, whichever one needs, it needs to be.
Bless you.
Thank you. So that's it.
All right.
So the reading and that's it. So now you have ordinance.
Yep.
These are yours, sir.
Oh, okay. Scott, can you take 22-4 and 22-5, please?
Yes. Ordinance number 22-04, an ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Chapter 38, Article 11, Division 2, Chapter 38, Section 38-38 of the Municipal Code entitled Fees. Be it and hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana as follows. Section 1, Ordinance Amendment. Chapter 38, Article 2, Division 2, Sections 38-38 shall be amended by replacing the existing text in its entirety with the following new text. There is established the following fee schedule for the use of ambulance services. And there's quite a few here, so I'm going to go ahead and read it all. A charge of $1,219 for each transportation of an individual requiring basic life support service, BLS. B, a charge of $1,119 for each transportation of an individual requiring non-emergency basic life support skills. C, a charge of $1,590 for each transportation of an individual requiring advanced life support, level 1. D, a charge of $1,908 for each transportation of an individual requiring advanced life support, level 2. E, a charge of $1,490 for each transportation of an individual requiring non-emergency advanced life support. Time up?
My bedtime. I'm afraid your 5 minutes is up, sir.
I think so. F, in addition to the flat fees described in the above subsections A, B, C, D, and E, each individual transported by the ambulance service shall be charged a mileage fee in the amount of $18.55 per mile. The mileage fee shall be assessed on the miles traveled from the location where the individual is picked up by the ambulance to the hospital or medical facility where the individual is transported. G, a medical service fee of $265 shall be collected for each incident where 1, ambulance service is requested by or on behalf of a patient. 2, a medical service is provided by the patient by emergency medical personnel. 3, the patient refuses ambulance transport. And 4, the fire chief determines such services are beyond the scope of non-transport assistance normally provided without charges. H, all fees listed in subsections A through G shall increase by 6% annually, effective January 1st of each calendar year. And I, the amendments shall be retroactive to January 1st, 2022. Let the record reflect that this ordinance has been read in its entirety. So was that first reading?
Yes. Can I
Yes.
ask a question, clarifying question?
Sure.
So this is not increasing fees beyond what we already did last year. This is just
It's just adding the BLS.
adding the BLS, right?
Right. Okay, first reading. So, it's been read. All right, we have 2205, which is not as long. An ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Chapter 38, Article 2, Division 2, Sections 38 through 41 of the Municipal Code entitled Use of Fees. Be it, and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage as follows. Section 1, Ordinance Amendment, Chapter 38, Article 2, Division 2, Section 38 through 41 shall be amended by replacing the existing text in its entirety with the following new text. A fund known as the Fire Department Equipment Fund is hereby created as a non-reverting fund. 100% of the Medicaid reimbursement program collected pursuant to Sections 38-38 shall be deposited into the Fire Department Equipment Fund to be used for the purchase and maintenance of equipment utilized for the provision of emergency medical services and shall be retroactive back to January 1st, 2022. Let the record reflect that this ordinance has been read, first reading in its entirety.
Okay. Do we need to take action on this one tonight, Nina? Is there any reason, or no? This one can wait? Okay.
Because it's gonna be retroactive anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Colin, you have more
Yes,
ordinances?
so, we are gonna, I will make a motion to table ordinance 21-23, the 2020 amendment to the 2022 salary ordinance.
You need a motion to table?
I made a motion to table. Yeah.
Second.
We have motion and second to table. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I would like to just go back to the annexation ordinance, so, I want to, because they're gonna ask me when it is, so, it can't be sooner than 14 days, I don't want it later than 60 days after the petition was received, so we could do it at our special meeting, or we could do it at our next regular meeting.
Which is gonna be moved.
Which is gonna be moved to the 10th. Did you
Right,
factor that
can't
in?
do it.
All right, so we'll do it at the special meeting on the 27th. Thank you for, and we need to do that before we
Yeah, I was
adjourn.
gonna ask if we needed to.
We're actually asking about it today.
So you should probably do that now.
Yep, I'll make, the next meeting falls on election day, so we'd like to move that as we normally do to the following week. If that works for everybody, we can look at alternate dates if that doesn't work for everybody, but that would be May 10th. We'll also check with the park, and make sure that works for the park.
Well, we hope we're at our new council chambers.
That's a hope. Well, we need to know that sooner rather than later, because if we're changing the location of the meeting, we need to notice that ahead of time.
We won't know.
Yeah, so I think we should
Well,
probably.
it's not noticed yet, so
Right.
the April
We'll give it
27th
time.
meeting will be probably here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the May meeting may not.
It depends on if we get everything, all the furniture
Well, we just
done.
need to shake your head.
All right. So tentatively, it will be at City Hall unless we need to do it
As
here.
soon as City Hall's ready, we're gonna have to renotice every meeting for the rest of the year.
That's
correct?
correct. Does May 10th work for everybody? All right, I will make a motion to move our May 3rd meeting to May 10th, 6:30
And,
at City Hall.
and the ordinance as well, Scott?
Yes.
AJ, are we gonna be good for that?
I cannot speak on behalf of IT and whether or not all the
Well,
bugs
that's
are
true.
going to be worked out with the delivery system.
Well,
Z will respond on, so
Z will bring his camera equipment if needed, right, Z?
Yeah, I think he can.
I warned him.
Well, we will know, we have up until 48 hours before the meeting, so if we need to notice it
long as
here,
Z-
we'll
as
know
long-
sooner than that, because we'll need to make the park aware,
As long
obviously.
as Z isn't in Oakwood, he can stream, right?
And Z, I guess we need to check, because this has happened before. Can you make it on May 10th? Okay.
And April 27th is he,
He is confirmed for April
he's
27th.
already confirmed.
I think, did we didn't vote on that, did we?
No.
I don't remember. Did we get a second on it? Okay.
I'll second.
Debbie seconded.
Already second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I couldn't hear you, Gina.
So we have petitions, remonstrances, and public input. So if any of the public would like to come forward, please state your name and address and try to limit your comments, although we obviously haven't, so. If anybody has a comment they want to make.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Barb.
On a more pleasant note, the American Legion Ladies Auxiliary is hosting again an appreciation luncheon for all city employees and city officials, council members. Save the date, it's May 11th, Wednesday, from 10 o'clock in the morning until 1:30 at the post. We can either do carry out for you, or you can eat in the big hall. It'll be lunch, salad, and dessert and soft drinks. So I hope to see everybody there to attend this. We try to do this every year as our appreciation for everybody that works for the city. Thanks.
Thank you, Barb.
Mayor, Council, in regards to the annexation petition, I believe that there's the need to then call a special meeting with Plan Commission. Are we seeking some advice from them?
There might very well be. I've kind of run that up the flagpole with Scott, but yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, because they were under the impression we were going to take this up at our next revenue meeting, which is like a day after theirs. But yeah, I'll let them know. That's a good point, AJ.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to bring a concern or anything to the council?
Mike Wertz, 2965 Edith Street.
What street, please?
2965 Edith.
Okay, thank you.
I might have missed the beginning a little bit. But I do have a question. You guys have talked about all this extra money we have, ARP, RDA money, extra money. How much of any of that money is going to be appropriated to the marina?
I think you might have missed that discussion.
I might have.
If you just got here, you might have missed that discussion.
Well, I was listening.
Councilman Alvarez brought that up, and Barb spoke about the few items, and Councilman Williams is going to add that to the list we're going to consider at our April 27th meeting.
So 100,000 is max?
It was
No,
not
there's
100,000. That's not. It was much more than that. Was what Barb
It's more
had
like,
said.
it's more like around 700,000.
Right.
All total.
From what she requested.
Okay, that's great. Is there any chance we could get more? A bigger percentage?
That's a pretty big percentage of the.
Well, we're in pretty need of,
Yeah.
we're in pretty need of, a lot of work down there. I mean, we got a 35-year-old marina that we're in a.
I think we take our lead from the marina director, so what I would suggest you do is get in her ear, and then she can inform us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Is there anyone else who would like to bring anything before the council? Yep.
Nope,
Hi,
got
Mary.
one more.
Well, this is probably long range, but I'm just curious. People have been asking me while we're campaigning. I live on 6391 Satin Avenue. They were talking about Airport Road. I know they have that new subdivision going on the east side of Airport. Are they going to eventually make that double lane? A 4 lane, make it wider, say? for example?
There are no plans right now, Mary.
Okay, because people were asking me, I said, well, you don't know.
But the ditch is being enclosed at some point by the developer.
There
Okay.
won't be a lane though, per your ask. There
Right.
will not be an additional lane.
That's what they were asking us. Okay, thank you. Okay.
AJ might want to tag on to that.
Yes, so as you may know, Deb knows, the Traffic Commission commissioned a study last year, hired Abin Marsh to develop first a traffic study and then a plan for a signalized intersection at Loudon Airport Road. That project does include turn lanes, so I just wanted to sort of clarify that a little bit. It wouldn't be an added lane to the road. We are not proposing to add to the width of Airport Road, but when we get to that intersection, there will be an extra dedicated left turn lane at the designed intersection, because that's really what the traffic study was suggesting is really the failure of Loop Road northbound, and so the left turn lanes will be part of that project. Also, to answer that, I guess to expound on that a little bit, the dedicated left turn lanes at Airport and Robbins will be installed. It's a long and challenging road to identify a striping company to come in and do the work. We're working on that, but I can't go out there and physically do it myself. Also, to answer some of the questions, yeah, a significant portion of the Robbins Road ditch will be closed. And if you're familiar with that area, the ditch section that is proposed to be covered is Monda South.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay. And then lastly, Airport Road is proposed as a project to be resurfaced as part of the Community Crossings Matching Grant from where we ended last year's paving improvement on Airport south to US Highway 6. So there's some coordination between the traffic signal, its installation, the developer who's constructing and building out the east side of Airport Road, and then our paving project.
Do we know
Hope
when
that
they're
helps.
filling in the ditch?
I'm sorry?
Do we know when they're filling in the ditch? A truck's already gone into it from the neighborhood.
I cannot speak on behalf of the developer as to when that will take place.
I will ask them.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to come before this council? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.